everybody. Welcome back to 372 Pages. We'll Never Get Back, the podcast where we welcome you back and then get back. Jojo. Mike, how was that for an intro?
Well, I would just advise Loretta to get back as well.
Okay.
The previously unnamed Loretta. Yes, this is 372 pages. We'll never get back.
It's almost as alliterative as a Dan Brown sentence about Senator Sexton Sedgewick.
Oh, last night I kind of was in, how your dreams and reality, like, I got to get up and do the podcast in a few hours. It's somewhere in the middle of the night. What's the senator's name again? Senator, and that was like working its way into my dreams. Senator Sedgewick Sexton. And then I wake up and realize what I've been doing. Like, damn it. Dan Brown, get out of there.
Yeah, it does sort of have a way of worming its way into your life, because I talked to Lauren about the book over breakfast this morning. She's an on-the-record Dan Brown hater, and just explaining this one to her, this Dan Brown book we're reading, which is Deception Point, not Digital Fortress, as I had been mistakenly calling it at times, but having to sort of explain to her that this is what he does when you strip away his crutch of talking about old art and symbolism and the Knights Templar and all these weird conspiracies, and just get down to NASA and katabatic winds and icebergs. And you really, it's sort of like if you told Wes Anderson he couldn't make a movie without symmetrical compositions and the Kinks, and just let him have to go on his own devices and be like, oh, there's not a lot here once you take away those things.
Yeah, I like when like actors or comedians go like, I just didn't want to do the same thing again. I'm like, I don't know. I think maybe you should, now that I've seen what you do when you're not doing the same thing.
Right. It's like a sports writer decided to write a thriller or a coming-of-age novel. It's like, I don't think that Rick Riley of Sports Illustrated really had any business writing about this 14-year-old girl.
Right. Well, anyway, this is not Digital Fortress. This is Deception. But did you call it Digital Fortress?
I was typing out an announcement being like, our next Digital Fortress episode will be... Oh, damn it. I didn't post
gotcha.
it. But
you didn't say it on, because I feel like I would have caught that, but who knows?
Yeah, it was just my own... They both start with D. What am I supposed to do?
Again, this is an error-free podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We make no errors. So... explain what the book is, and can you bring us up on the plot so that we can dive in? Because we got a lot of material to cover. As we're covering twice as much material as we normally do, because this book is obviously just him spinning out words as fast as he can type them. Spitting
out words, drawing out reveals, cutting back and forth between plots where things happen at an inchworm pace. But I think I can. We've read... this will take us through 64 chapters of this book, and up till this point has been half of those, 32, and we have a presidential election happening with some Pelican Brief-esque intrigue. There is a man running for president against the incumbent, Senator Sexton Sedgewick, as we have mentioned before.
Sedgewick Sexton. Sexton's the last name, right? Because she's Sexton.
Yes, Senator Sedgewick S. Sexton, maybe?
She's, what's her first name? Is like Hot Sexton or something? Anyway.
I think it's Rachel, just because it's the second big book we've done in a row with a Rachel.
Okay.
And so his daughter, it's ambiguous whether this smooth talking guy named Senator Sexton Sedgewick is a bad guy. But his daughter Rachel works in the administration of the incumbent who he's running against. And he's found a magic bullet to take down the incumbent. He's attacking NASA. He's decided that NASA is a big barrel of pork, and so he's just been hammering that issue to guarantee his election.
And when you do that, you know what happens. The polls just go up. He's been shooting up in the polls. People going, I didn't care about it before, but now I'm deeply passionate about it.
They used to have on, when they would have presidential debates, some of the networks would have little real-time focus groupings, like the kids on The Simpsons turning the dials to watch the Poochie show. And they would just, so when he would bring up like, And we'll be doing a middle class tax break. And people are like, eh. And he's like, we'll also be defunding NASA. And whoop. Essentially, Abraham Lincoln saying San Dimas High School football rules and Bill and Ted. And everyone just leaps to their feet. But Rachel Sexton, his daughter, has been called to, we'll just refer to it as the North Pole. It's Canadian Arctic Circle.
The A.A. Milne ice shelf.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. She's in, what is it? Trespassers Welcome? Williams Trespassers?
Trespassers William, yes.
Yeah, so there's signs there in the ice that say that. And she has been called there, and they have made a discovery that is going to throw the election back to her boss, the current president, and it is of extraterrestrial life in a meteor that's embedded in the ice. And they've just pulled the meteor out, and they think that because of the final little gambit, he's the current president has sort of left his queen on the board unopened, and the NASA-hating guy is about to move in and take it. Unbeknownst to him, that's the trap that Marjorie Tench, the most hideous woman that's ever existed, has laid for his hot assistant who looks just like Halle Berry Gabrielle, and they're about to meet as well.
Right. And we're, by the way, I will be, I'm sure you do too, but we'll be tracking the Tench tracker because there's 32 chapters, and every mention of her is better than the last mention. So
yes,
we'll be tracking Tench.
The old heightening exercise in improv comedy where, you can't have her, if you've already called her hideous and a wraith-like ghoul, you have to, every time she comes back in, you have to make it even worse. So she starts smoking, and she's Saturn devouring his son by the end of one of the chapters.
All right. So where we are now, and by the way, the team in the Arctic Circle that she goes to, the NASA team that is in the, what is it, Habosphere?
Mm-hmm. They built a Habosphere.
It's not a whole sphere. They actually make that joke. It's a Habosphere, and then they actually do get it.
And anyway,
laughs. That crew is, I think all you have to do is picture Twister from, well, either Twister. I think they both had a quirky team. But the original had the quirky team of clickety-click, we're in kind of guys who are also sort of like slobs and like, what? I like eating potato chips, stuff. So there's a bunch of those guys too. So,
right, you got the George Clooney, Glenn Powell type, who's obviously going to be in love with her. He's Jacques Cousteau. You have a brassy broad Nora, and then you have a sort of nebbish Stephen Tobolowsky type, or there's a guy on the Ocean's 11 team who was also the Yes I Am guy from Bud Light ads. That's who I'm sort of picturing in that role. He was the techie guy. But she is about to address the president's team. The president has gathered all of his people in the Oval Office, and Rachel is forced to give them the gist of the situation because that is her technical role. She's a gister.
Right. Yes, she's a gunter. She's in her spare time hunting eggs and making gists.
Speaking of gunting, this amused me right at the start of this section because this is 2001, so a lot of this technology he still felt the need to talk to us about. So he says the video phone monitor before her displayed a crystal clear image of President Zach Herney in the White House communications room. The digital audio connection was flawless, so there was no lag.
No lag.
There. It's
nice. Her long fingers dialed in with no lag. Sweet. All right, so should we dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
She's telling the president that what we've seen here is amazing, and she says this, which I thought was great. So extraterrestrial life is the plan here, and they're presenting it as a trump card for him to win the election. She says, considering the conclusive proof and who you've recruited for endorsements, I can't imagine how the public or any of your opposition will be able to do anything other than accept this discovery as confirmed fact. And so stop. You can pause the podcast. You can open your window and laugh as loud as you've laughed at anything other in the history of the world before. But this is The most naive, doe-eyed thing being like, hey, every single person's going to accept alien life just because we are proving it to you.
I can't imagine. That's very funny. It's my first note, and I actually wrote out ha 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 ha.
I had ha 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 ha, deep breath ha 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 ha.
Okay.
The public, who's still not certain about the moon landing or the pyramids, is going to be just absolutely on board with this being played as a political act.
Yep, they will immediately accept this. I can't imagine how the public... You can't?
The public, who within months of this book would be publishing, would be just be like, I don't know, I watched this video about how jet fuel can't melt steel beams, and that's just sort of, I'm just asking questions, but
I'm just asking the questions here. And then this is the president. And Rachel really had thought Zach Herney was above this kind of spiteful politics. So, wow, just like she thought a politician was above playing politics? Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know who the last person that people sort of assumed this level of naivety before. Possibly someone on TV is the only way to do this. But I think we should point them out as we encounter them, because he has been sort of regarded as this Mr. Smith, filibuster, Jimmy Stewart kind of figure, possibly building up to something. I don't know. It gets it's subtle at times, but maybe they're building up to a possible reveal. With this,
he's just an aw shucks guy. He's like, oh heck, I don't know how I got into this situation where I'm president.
Right after that, so he's asking her to endorse this, to stick it to her father, the opposition. That's why she's sort of been like, I didn't think he could do this. And it describes her father as a family's first candidate, which is, he had an affair with the Halle Berry.
Yes,
obviously is doing this, and he wants her to then endorse the findings to her staff, but only to reassure them about his disillusioned staff, because he says that everyone here hates the head of NASA. He's the snake oil salesman who has lured me into bad deal after bad deal. So that's the level of where NASA stands in the public's eye. Even the president's entire staff hates Ekstrom, the head of NASA.
Which, we'll get to it, but he has to explain like 4 times what he's asking her, but he doesn't actually explain it. Anyway, sure. Here's a sentence. You've met Dr. Marlinson. I think he's terrific. But if I let an astrophysicist loose on my team of left brain, think inside the box intellectuals, I'll end up with a herd of deer in the headlights.
God.
Wow, that sentence goes a lot of different directions. Wait, I'm still back on your 3rd analogy, but you've got 7 of them in this sentence.
Yeah, so they're all left. You've got all left-brain people, intellectuals on your staff, but that are then going to turn into a herd of deer in headlights as you gist them.
Yes.
Oh man. But part of that team is that she gets called in to address them right now, and she's looking out over the crystal clear no lag video phone, and it says she's searching the sea of faces to see the raspy voice who had spoken, and it was a lanky woman just now taking a seat in the front row, Marjorie Tench. The woman's distinctive appearance was unmistakable, even in a crowd. And so I don't know if she has like a vulture on her shoulder or just...
She's like whittling a knife as she sits down or something.
She just has a rotten apple in her hand for some reason that she's offering people.
The president says to her, I'm afraid I didn't make myself clear. You'll be doing the briefing from where you are via video conference. So she keeps going like, wait, so I'm on the team? No, even though I didn't say it. I'm sorry, I didn't make myself clear. No, you didn't. And then like, so I'll be doing this. You'll fly me to... No, I'm not going to fly. You're going to be doing it by video. Okay, but it'll be later. Oh, no, it's right now. I'm sorry, I didn't make myself... You didn't say anything.
Right, and this is after he's already said, I want you to come see me. Didn't meet her there, met her in an airline hangar, and then sent her to the North Pole. And this guileless, we're presumed, like, highly skilled person is just going along with what the president says at any given thing, even though, she's part of a senator's family. She's a DC insider to the core.
Well, she eats horse carpaccio for breakfast. So.
Well, of course, yes.
The screen in front of Rachel went blank for a moment. When it refreshed, Rachel was staring at one of the most unnerving images she had ever seen. I assume it's that movie from The Ring, where they just show like the most disturbing things.
Yeah, I don't know. That Pulitzer Prize-winning photograph of the vulture standing next to the starving boy, like that's off-putting.
Yeah. The mayor of that town in Vietnam getting shot in the head.
No, it's just the White House Oval Office where she was talking to someone and where she was told she was going to be addressing. God. But then if Marjorie Tench is there, it does sort of make up
that is
ratchet
sort of up the disturb,
Yeah, that's just they've got the Clockwork Orange guy with the eye brackets, but all they're doing is showing him pictures of Marjorie Tench.
Stop it.
Enough! Turn it off! Turn it off! Going to the next chapter then?
Yeah. I realized I was taking too many notes when we started, and so now my notes tend to become sparser as we go on. But we've got a lot to get through.
Sure. This is Ming, Dr. Ming, Wei Li Ming, who is observing something about the water. He is plotting to himself, thinking internally, soon I will be the most famous paleontologist in the world, which is gotta be a pretty low bar. Remember Jackson Crawford, who did a 280 Mysteries with us? He works in that field and lives out in dinosaur country. He said he might actually know people who are arguably the most famous paleontologists in the world, and it is a low bar for how famous you are in that department.
Yes, Wei Li Ming, which is I was surprised that Wei Li is just like one. That's his name, Wailee. Wei Li.
Yeah, sort of like the DC rapper Wally.
I guess I don't know what you call him. Anyway, he. Before they set this up, like he sees the water in the hole, but they said in our previous reading, one of the guys who was surveilling them by Microbot, right?
Yes,
by Fly.
Delta Force guys.
Delta Force guy. What is his name? Capricorn 1? No, what is it?
I think it's all Delta 1, Delta 2, and Delta 3.
Delta 1 goes, water shouldn't be doing that. And then the other guy goes, it sure as hell shouldn't, or something like that. And so this is like 20 chapters later, and he's still like, then he looks in the water and goes, my God. We still don't know what it is. And the reveal is, trust me, it's nothing. So don't worry about it.
It's pretty incredible when it gets to it. But so this guy is going to be the Dennis Nedry, the Wayne Knight in Jurassic Park, where he thinks he can use this for personal gain to become the most famous paleontologist in the world. So he's essentially walking over to this enormous pit that they've talked about. They've set up those cones around it. He's squatting next to it. He's leaning over closer and closer, like Augustus Gloop in the Chocolate River and Willy Wonka. And we're all like, would you just let him fall into this? And then it ends with him just like being like, it's all mine. This discovery's all mine. Impossible. And all he needs is a little water sample as he's going to bend over and scoop it out on his own.
And the last line is, nobody was going to believe this. Oh, God. What is in the water?
It's almost like when you watch a 6-year-old who's going to like put on a show, and you just clearly know they are completely making it up on the spot. But it's just, Dan Brown is just like, well, but no one will believe what's next. And then like switch chapter. All right. Phew. I didn't have to explain what was going to happen next.
Now I can go back to the White House for a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. What is it? And it's, folks, it's not even, what was the James Cameron movie about the water monsters? They go,
The Abyss?
The Abyss. It's not even close to that, where like the water comes out and like looks around. It's not. I thought, it must be that. Like the water must be like making a face at them or something. Not even close. Don't even like lower those expectations way down.
It's the sort of thing that we would consider a gift in a Riff Tracks movie if they gave us something this lame.
Yes.
But before that, we have to go back to the Oval Office where Rachel is gisting. And this is just something that happened in the last one where all the characters were sitting around toasting the find and people were yelling out like, how come we don't get American beer? And everyone laughs. We get more of the easiest crowd in the world.
God, yes.
If we could get them in a Riff Tracks theater or a 372 live show, it would just be so nice. It must be just how, that guy, Mark Russell or the Capitol Steps feel with their audience, who are just there to laugh at literally anything they do. So she says, "Sorry, folks, if you're wondering how I could be sweating my butt off at the Arctic Circle, I'm a little nervous." There was some uneasy laughter. "This baptism by fire is not exactly what I had in mind for my first visit to the Oval Office." More laughter this time. And so she's like, she's on a roll. You find the game here and you need to roll with it. "I had certainly not imagined I would be sitting at the president's desk, much less on it. This brought a hearty laugh and some broad smiles." So there wasn't even a warm-up act here. These people are just, the gas leak in the Oval Office, maybe.
It's when I used to do, I did speaking at colleges, and I came from the stand-up world where, like, man, you're thrown on stage, and it's just like, all right, make me laugh, dipshit, It's like, then you go to speak at a college, and it's like, oh, they're thinking they're seeing a speaker, and then you're funny and they're laughing. You're like, oh, this is cheating. This is so cheating. I loved it so much. But that's what she does. She just comes in and like, this is my worst stuff, and it's getting laughs. Because usually it's like, we will be raising the interest rate 0.03%. That should be through Q1. And no, that was not a joke. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Tench, if you could stop gnawing on that raw piece of chicken, we'd appreciate it.
Why are you eating flies, Mrs. Tench? That seems unusual. Yeah, that was incredible. But she says this has to be weird because she's totally high def, right? She said something about like...
Oh, crystal clear.
Crystal clear, no lag. A bead of sweat, this is before she does her joke routine. Okay. A bead of sweat formed just below her hairline, and Rachel dabbed it away, silently cursing the president for dropping this briefing into her lap with zero warning. I mean, that has to be weird on like high def, like everyone looking at you. I'm sure she's 14 feet across and going like, ma'am, are you okay?
Yeah, that's the funniest thing she does. It doesn't get a laugh. That's like Leslie Nielsen going to the bathroom with his mic on and the Naked Gun. Come on.
Yeah, always
stone-faced as she's sitting there cursing.
Always try cursing. Yeah, that'll work right away.
And so Dan Brown has been teasing out this information to us, but then he has the characters tease out information we already know, and that is even more frustrating. She ends the chapter without even having told the Oval Office what she's there to tell them.
It's so great. This is how he ends pretty much every chapter. "Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to hear what I'm sure you will agree is one of the most exciting pieces of information ever revealed in this office." I don't know. We had like nuclear strikes on Iran and stuff like that. Like
we had LBJ revealing that his Hagger pants dug into his nuts. Like that was pretty amazing. That got less laughs than this.
He whipped it out in front of the press corps. Come on.
Yeah, so that's that's how that one ends, and it goes back into Delta Force observing. They refer to Ming as the well-dressed Asian lying on the ice. I think that was the prequel to Crazy Rich Asians, was well-dressed Asians. But and they keep talking about his camel hair coat, which I thought was kind of amusing.
This is what they described as the aerial view. So they're spying with their little fly cam. Mm-hmm. Which I guess you can buy on like Temu or whatever now. I didn't know that was a thing. The aerial view currently being transmitted to the Delta Force by the microbot circling inside the Habosphere. I have to look like something that would win an avant-garde film contest. The dim lighting, the glistening extraction hole, and the well-dressed Asian lying on the ice, this camel hair displayed around him, their enormous wings. Is that what avant-garde films are like? And it would win? So it's
David Lynch is like, son of a bitch! The well-dressed Asian! Why didn't I think of that?
Filmed by Microbot. Filmed by Microbot. I should have thought of that, said David Lynch.
I'm imagining the well-dressed agent getting up, turning over, the camel coat pulls off. It's revealed to be Yoko Ono, and she starts braying into the echoey shaft that they've dug out.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, there we go. Avant-garde film.
Very avant-garde.
And Delta Force is like, all right, well, we got to do what we were trained to do, improvise. So it's very clear what's going to happen. It goes right into the next chapter where he is like really reaching over, like it's just out of reach, so he has to reach over even further to do the thing. He's obviously never seen a movie where this exact same thing happens and the character dies every single time. And then they fly the nanobot into his eye, I guess.
Yeah, they smash it into his eye. I like how Dan Brown does this occasionally. It's funny. He's doing that. He's like, he's over the water hole, like, I can just about. And then it's just a carriage return, and it says, "This is incredible." It's like, wait, who's saying that? He's just reminding you. Like, I'm describing it, but I want you to know, just in case you're reading it didn't know. This is incredible. What's going to happen? Thank you for pointing that out.
Characters do have lots of thoughts like that to themselves in times of immense stress in this book. They have flashbacks.
There's no quotes around them, so it is like, who are we attributing this to? So he does fall into the hole, which leads me to my first Sonic challenge for you.
Damn it.
I got to it first, because I figured you would try to do it too.
I've got another one marked.
Okay. I'm sure you see it there. He falls into the hole. The cold water feels like acid on his face. Poor Whaley. And no reference to what would his nickname be? Whaley.
Whaley?
You'd call him like, Moby or something like that.
There you go.
Moby Dick.
Whaley Mills.
Yeah, there you go. Sonic challenges this. I'm sure you have it there. He falls in and he gasps. He breathes in a little salt water, but he says, and this is the quote, so I'm not going to help you out here. I'm not going to give you a reading on it. He says, he ... elp. LP. He gasped.
Okay.
So there you go.
Okay. His cries were inaudible even to himself. I didn't factor that into my thing. So.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, sorry. Gasp it, but make it inaudible. That is a tough challenge.
As you're barely pulling in enough air to let out a whimper.
Right.
So I'm pulling in air with letting out a whimper as I'm saying "help." This is like rubbing your head, patting your stomach, and chewing bubble gum. And one of those he's has 2 E's, and one of those he's has 3 E's.
Yes.
Okay, but there's, I think you understood the various nuance I gave to it there.
How do you do LP, though? It seems like one of those sounds that, when you start learning a new language, you're like, oh, we don't make that sound in this language.
Yeah, that's like a umlaut Y or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to puff your cheeks and spit as you finish. As he's making those noises, he has this thought to himself. Drowning, Ming had once read, was the most horrific death imaginable. I hope that he had read that in one of the Peppa Pig books he was reading to his child as he put her down to bed or something. This is wow. Berenstain Bears one got dark. This
one in a place I did not expect.
Yeah, Berenstain Bears and the waterboarding. It's wow. Brother really should have put his toys away, huh? And then it says, multitudes of thoughts flashed before his eyes. Moments from his childhood, his career. What are they? They're not important, but you'll just be told that he did have them.
And he slid into the icy darkness, and we brought it up already, feels Kleinian. He felt himself going unconscious. It's important that characters recognize their own recognition of their own situation. That's always important.
Right, and then have a carriage return saying, this is incredible. So, yes, he goes underwater, and as he's going down, he sees tiny specks of light in the water, and it says it was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen.
So that was the reveal, I guess.
Yeah, it's unclear. on this point, whether that's just, that's the pearly gates or
Yeah.
just a dying hallucination, but it does sort of reveal itself to be that.
Yes.
We go back to Washington, where Gabrielle, the super hot 23-year-old Halle Berry lookalike, is going to the White House because she's gotten these secret messages from a anonymous source that has told her to come meet there. And we got this sentence, which I'm going to attempt to read. It might not go well.
Okay.
She sensed the Secret Serviceman in the sentry shack. Okay, I made it through.
Wow.
I think if you tossed in the Senator Sexton Sedgwick or Senator Sedgewick Sexton into that sentence, it might be even more difficult. But Senator Sexton Sedgwick, she sensed the Secret Serviceman in the sentry shack. All right.
I see it now. Okay. I was giving people, I think this is the hardest tongue twister in the world. So I'll give this to people and you can just practice it during the week. Leith, Scotland, Leith, right?
Okay.
And the Leith police dismisseth us.
The Leith police dismisseth us. Okay.
It is like a Scottish person saying purple burglar alarm. It's almost impossible to say. The Leith police dismisseth us.
And the dream police live inside of my head.
Yes. Anyway, so check that out, and also say she sensed the Secret Serviceman of
Senator Sexton Sedgwick in the sentry shack.
In the sentry shack.
I also enjoyed that a few men looked her over, tourists, as she was entering this thing. So no matter where she goes, people are essentially doing the lowering the shades at her and auga as she walks, because she's that hot. And she gets allowed into the White House for their meeting.
But she goes, Gabrielle looked at the open doorway and still could not move. What's going on? No question mark. Just what's going, who's saying this? What's going on? That's what so I just like that the author is telling you how to, it's just like directly to the reader. Like that's what you should be saying to yourself. But it's not a question mark. You should just go, what's going on?
I think
that was too much of a question on that. Yeah.
Some of the what's going ons in Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, and I feel like that. What's going on? Back in the next chapter, Michael Toland, the George Clooney-esque marine biologist, is there. And this is a funny little slice of 2001. Michael Toland had downloaded the entire video file onto a digital video disc, or as a human would say, he had burnt it onto a DVD. But
wait, they changed the name of it, so we know the year of this, because remember DVD changed its name?
Right.
Digital versatile disc. I forget what year that happened. But...
Was it because they started putting like games on it or data?
Yes,
I guess
we don't want to be limited to only video on these things.
That would be a great actually thing to correct people about.
Yes.
Yeah, you could really place that there. And then for the first time in the entire book, something gets an appropriate level of laughter. He says, "Thanks, Mike," the technician said, winking as he held up the video disc. "Kind of redefines must-see TV, eh?" Toland gave a tired chuckle. So that is, I think, the first time it's been really appropriate. Must-see TV had pretty much run its course by this time, I feel like. They were sort of on to like the Veronica's Closet, the single guy era of it, I think.
Oh, man.
Like, no one's must-see in any of this.
Finally, the author kind of lets out his views here, I think, through he's sort of sock puppeting Toland here. Then again, most of the women Toland met were in television, either ruthless power women or gorgeous on-air personalities, heavy scare quotes, who lacked exactly that. If the scare quotes didn't tell you that he wasn't serious,
Sure, yes.
He's going to spell it out. Whoa, okay. All right, Dan Brown, I know how you feel now.
Yeah, I mean, look around the room, man. Like, you're just demeaning everyone you see as you work in television and make your living there. Like, come on. I also like the idea of a ruthless power woman. It sounds like something out of Kroll or something like that. Morgana has taken over the castle. She's a ruthless power woman.
I would just point out that Tench was on TV, I believe, in prime time for the debate.
Okay.
So, I don't know. A gorgeous on-air personality.
Well, she's certainly not that one, so she's got to be a ruthless power woman.
Okay.
And then we get his backstory, which is he had a love named Celia Birch, who, she dies tragically. She gets cancer or something. But we both lived in San Diego for a long time. Did this raise your hackles and fill you with rage? They bought a small house near Pasadena where Celia got a job as a science teacher. Although the pay was modest, it was a start. And it was also close to the Scripps Institute of Oceanography in San Diego. You utter madman.
Close to? 2.5 hours, 2:20 if you're lucky on a Sunday.
At 3 in the morning? Yeah.
Yeah, on a Sunday afternoon, maybe?
I had relationships strained with my friends in LA because they'd be like, I'd rather visit my family in DC. It's not going to happen. A commute would ruin you. It would have more of an effect on their relationship than the cancer would.
Yes, I did notice that. Like, wait a minute. Also, that's in a part, the Scripps Institute of Oceanography is in a part that's a little bit difficult to get to as well, just on, even
Sure.
if you live in San Diego, it's kind of tough to get there, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't come here for him to get things right. That's not why we're here. So she... I guess he gets a gig in NBC, but then she gets incurable disease and is going to die. So this throws a little backstory at us.
And what is this? I made a note and now I don't remember what it is. Forgive me. So please remind me. On a whim, she showed the tape to her science class and it became an instant hit. Other teachers wanted to borrow it. Parents wanted to make copies.
Yeah.
What was that tape? I forget.
It was of a previously undiscovered cuttlefish.
Okay.
Enthralled her high school students, which possibly up to this point might be the most unrealistic thing in the story about extraterrestrial life being discovered.
Okay. I just didn't remember what the tape that enthralled everyone was.
Yeah, the most jaded people on the planet, like high school people sitting through a science class being like, you're telling me no one's ever seen this type of cuttlefish before? Like, oh, wow, your husband is the coolest. Where is he, by the way? Oh, he's on his awful 4-hour commute daily. Great.
In short, class, my presentation to you is a new cuttlefish. You're not funny. Shut up.
Spit wad lands in his forehead.
Oh, man.
And so he discovers that there is something glowing in the water again, and what else happens in this chapter? She finishes giving her talk, and the Oval Office is like, oh my God, like it means we're going to win the election, so they're confident.
Yes. I have an on-camera challenge, which will
okay.
This, unfortunately, for those listening, you just have to imagine. I'm sorry.
Well, if it's good, I'll pull it and post it.
Okay. The on-camera challenge to you is he gave her a puggish smile and pointed. So I don't know what a puggish smile is, but it's up to you. You're the interpreter, so you have to do it.
And who is doing that? Is it George?
I believe this is George Clooney. Yes.
Okay.
Tolan.
All right. Ready?
Yeah, puggish. Oh, finger gun. Yeah, I was hoping for that. Yeah, sorry.
I mean, what else is puggish other than a pug
I don't know what puggish.
I
don't know what puggish means.
Did he put his face up to the glass?
I think it's another case of the editor just going like, I don't know. Puggish? I'm not going to look it up. I don't know. It just sounds like another word. So go ahead.
Okay. It is Corky Marlinson, who is the nebbish sort of guy. So he's the one doing it. So it wasn't Clooney.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It makes a little more sense. But yeah, I guess he's a pug dog. Oh, and the sentence after he gave her a puggish smile and pointed is this is referring to George Clooney. Mike becomes mesmerized every time he sees water. Which is, I think, even the most unhinged thing, topping even the woman who smiled every time she saw the Hoover vacuum cleaner in the mister. So,
Yeah, I had a reference to that before, but I skipped over it. But yes,
Okay.
so that would be technically that's the second reference to the vacuum cleaner.
It's
Okay, so that is Corky doing that. Corky, who
Puggish smile.
becomes one of my favorite character traits coming up. But
He
it is
gets-
one of the most exciting things you people will ever hear in your life. All right, yeah. So Mike is Michael Toland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the water is what. So when the waiter asks like still or sparkling, he's just like either one's going to mesmerize me, so I don't care.
And then you talk about laughter. I thought this was a joke that would have gotten everyone laughing. Hey, Aquaman, forget your swimsuit?
God.
No reaction there. There's no reference to it. Which I thought it would have been like everyone in the sphere laughed.
Right, yeah. Maybe
But
Corky
no.
just doesn't get the laughs and they're sick of him.
Yeah.
It's very funny. Our friend Adam Feist just got a professorship at UCSD.
Oh,
He sent out the news yesterday, and it had the 5 other people that also have these new positions, and all academics, scientists. The idea of looking at that 6 group of people who seem, I'd just say they're fairly buttoned down, them doing "Hey Aquaman, forget your swimsuit" jokes to each other, or like we get coming up, "We've got flagellates." Flatulence? Speak for yourself. Was just a very, very funny. The type of people who achieve these positions don't necessarily strike me as the people who are tossing off these one-liners that are, sub 2.5 men level humor here.
Yeah, at that joke, Rachel sensed Michael Toland was in no joking mood. So, like, what did he, like, didn't get a laugh for that? Corky's like, oh, man, called him Aquaman, went with a fart joke. What do I have to do, people? You were laughing at the Canadian beer jokes like Carrot Top was in town. Come on.
Yeah. Rachel's just like, man, like, I'm glad I don't have to follow him in my White House address. It would be a room clearer. What he's talking about with flagellates are these water phosphorescing thing. And Toland says, I don't know how it could have happened, but somehow this water contains bioluminescent dinoflagellates. And he says they are, he says, I can't be sure without a microscope, but it looks to me like this is a bioluminescent plankton from the phylum Pyrophyte, which is it's a settle down moment. Like, analyzing this based on the, without a microscope. So it is, I've been to one of these before in Puerto Rico, a bioluminescent bay they had where you take your kayak through it at night. Any motion in the water causes it to light up. It's pretty damn cool. And that's what they've discovered in this thing that obviously should not have any of this life in it because it would be frozen. The water can't get in it, etc. So this is the discovery that has made everybody be like, what the hell's going on?
There was one in San Diego. Did you ever go to it?
No, sometimes, yeah.
I think in the spring. It was near the racetrack.
Okay.
There's like a little inlet there, and you go and you just park your car and throw stones in it. Bioluminescence when you throw it. It's cool. But,
It's cool, yeah.
I didn't know what the phylum was. It is Pyrophyta. Well, that's up there. I don't know.
Sure.
Down in San Diego.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the same one, everything, but he recognizes it immediately. Mm-hmm. And they say that like there must be a crack in the ice that for this thing to get in, et cetera, et cetera. And he then tests to see what's going on here by dipping his jacket into it and licking the water off of his jacket to see if it's salt water. And it is like salt water in this thing, which should be impossible, everything we know about this thing. They lay out this case, and they talk about this a whole lot going forward.
This is a big thing.
There shouldn't be any way salt water can get in here.
And
so something
remember,
is amiss.
how they set this up, if you recall, was he couldn't even believe, whatever, as he lay on the water looking in, he could not believe his eyes. The most amazing thing he had ever seen in his entire life. And then it turns out to be, there was some bioluminescent phylum in there.
Tourist attraction from Puerto Rico or San Diego. Which, all of these guys are of different things. I forget, what's his name? Ming was a paleontologist. My first reaction would be like, holy crap, those aliens have done something to this water. Like they've infused it with their super space powers to make it glow like this. But I guess everyone recognizes bioluminescence on this NASA mission.
I was thinking, though, when they were saying, like, oh, these incredible things are in this water hole, like, oh, well, there were skeletons of, like, giant insects or whatever. Like, oh, it's full of living giant insects that we didn't know could breathe. Like, that would be weird, but okay.
Yeah.
You know, like a 4-foot bug that was, like, in the hole. Like, I gotta get this thing.
Hey, I survived the sub-zero temperatures to space. This is nothing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, it's far less exciting than that.
Cut back to Gabrielle entering the White House.
Chapter 40.
Chapter 40.
If you're following along, yes.
Yeah. What do you got for this?
Well, I have. There's another joke in this one.
Oh my God!
She goes past the tourist groups, and so there's a. We've all been part of these groups where the guy or woman has the patter, that they do. And you're like, one time we went on a distillery tour, and it was just 4 people because we went at an off time, and the person said, now, do you want me to do my jokes during this or not? And Bridget and I both went really loudly and quickly, no. And he got really hurt. He's like, oh, I was just saying it rhetorically. I'm of course going to do my jokes.
That was my first joke.
We're like, no, please do your jokes. So then it was awkward the entire time as he would do one of his jokes and then look at us. We were like,
that one okay with you? Let me just tell mine before we tell what the tour guide says here. We went, there was a guy doing a bat talk. There were some bat people. I posted about it on Patreon. But sure. Me and Lauren went to it, and the guy who was going to walk us out to observe these bats with his bat-observing rig was just like, all right, folks, thanks you for coming to the bat talk. My name is Jake, not from State Farm, which got laughs from the people who had gathered on this thing. And I was like, oh, my God. I guess maybe the Dan Brown isn't underestimating the ability of people to laugh here, but
the bar has been set. Okay.
Good God. Anyway, so
all right. So this is this is cut to the White House touring person. Then we will pass to the Red Room, where Dolly Madison liquored up visiting heads of state before James Madison negotiated with them. The tourists laughed.
Oh. Yeah.
What's the joke there?
Yeah. So is that true, ma'am, or is that I don't know.
I'm just joking with you.
Come on, people. Yeah. Oh, that was a joke. Huh?
I had a teacher who liked to say, but seriously, folks, after he didn't, got no laughs. So he'd be like, don't you hate when people say that? You haven't been funny, so stop. Oh, is this now serious? Okay. But seriously, folks.
Yeah, and do I need my White House tour guide to be funny? If they were taking you around the battlefield of Normandy, do you need them to be cracking jokes in every situation? This is just informational and historical. All right.
Omaha Beach. So one of the most boring of the beaches, people. Yeah. Hundreds of men died here.
Omaha Beach came on the album after the Mr. Jones Beach. Omaha is a song on the Counting Crows album that Mr. Jones is on. It's
wow.
Yeah.
deep cut.
The audience laughed at the Counting Crows joke. And then she is amazed because she winds up in the map room, and her response is, "My God, this is the map room." Which I forget what book we had the boring sentence of the week, but I thought that would qualify in this one. My God, it does the Hitchcock rack focus to the map room.
Wow, that's as good as the my story of the person telling us about their crabby baby. Remember that one? This baby's so crabby. And Bridget and I are like, yeah. We call her the crabby baby. I'm in the map room.
And why might it be called that? Oh, man. Crabby Baby would have been great for the last book.
Oh, yes.
Maybe that's when we discussed it. It was the King Crab. Everyone called him the King Crab because he was the king of the crabs.
King Crab.
And then this ends with we had it in the real or fanfic last week, but she walks into the shadowy room. There's a wraith blowing smoke. Call me Marjorie. The hideous woman stood up, blowing smoke out of her nose like a dragon. Just outright hideous at this point, if you weren't clear about that.
I don't have her pinned down. I still am picturing a cartoon. I can't do like a real human. I haven't settled into that yet. We'll see. We'll get more descriptors of her, though.
Nice.
Chapter 41, then?
Yeah, back to the North Pole.
Why would we lie to you about this? Corky demanded. Men lie. Yeah, about sleeping with other women, but never about bioluminescent plankton. Weirdly, that's the only thing I do lie about, is the bioluminescent plankton.
Yeah, I went down to the beach and saw some bioluminescent plankton. Oh, Mike. Not again.
We've
talked
man.
about this. Yes. Well, Toland's response is to sigh at Corky's, I think, quip there. But that is, again, maybe Toland's the only one who has a real sense of humor in this book. I like this. This is something that I'm always saying to you. Mike, I'm not licking your damn jacket. is what Nora says. Yeah, it comes up surprisingly often. And you'd think by this time you'd have learned not to offer me. I don't take you up
should
on
just
it.
put it as a standing, order. Like you just, again, come on.
Why should I have to do that? I've refused to lick your jacket 24 times, and you don't pick up on it.
It was a full 10 days ago that I asked the last time, so come on.
You were going to ship me it. You had spilled pudding on it. And I was like, I don't need it. I have pudding. We've talked about this.
I'm going to give you a reading challenge.
Oh, man.
This is the first for this.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have the paragraph that's Mike, she replied with a glare? It's in the middle of chapter 41. Mm-hmm. Just read on from there, please.
Okay.
To the end of the paragraph.
Mike.
Without stumbling. Yes.
Okay, goddamn. Mike, she replied with a glare. Please don't tell me my business. For the record, there are over 200 species of diatoms that thrive under Arctic ice shelves, 14 species of autotrophic nanoflagellates, 20 heterotrophic flagellates, 40 heterotrophic dinoflagellates, and several metazoans, including polychaetes, amphipods, copepods, damn it! Euphausids and fish. Any questions? Wow.
Almost got there. Well done.
That's tripping over the last hurdle.
Almost got to fish. Yeah.
That woman who tried to pull a snowboarding trick on the last thing and stumbled across the finish line.
Yeah, the cyclist who celebrates 5 feet from the line and then his bike falls over.
That's just something she rattled off the top of her head. Nora, the brassy lady.
Yep. And then weirdly, everyone laughed. No, they didn't.
And so Nora is the person who's sort of in charge of analyzing the ice to make sure that it was, intact and there's nothing coming in. So she goes through a list of why this can't be happening. She blames all the equipment that she had previously trusted. She does all the classic. There must be some other explanation because she refuses to believe that there could be water in here.
Well, they really drilled down on this. I'm like, man, other chapters are like 2 paragraphs. This one just goes on and on about like, don't you tell me my business about what kind of ice water is in holes that I drill. And you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, the nanoflagellates are known to go into a stasis period when the temperatures drop between...
She's like cursing like a sailor and cursing them out as they go like, look, we saw the glowing plankton. Like, there's no glowing plankton. And it's just amazing. Like, oh, okay.
Breaks a refractometer over her knee, like Bo Jackson. She's just like, she refuses to accept any explanation for this being here. They measure the percentage of brine in the thing. So it's just, it gets way into the weeds about nanoflagellates and salt water. And it brings us to a sentence, which is, the 4 of them stood in silence a moment beside the deep shaft, which was just a nice little break in the action.
And then as she's trying to think of it, so they go back and forth, like, don't you tell me, screaming and yelling. The brainstorm had hit her from the most unlikely of memories. Everyone was looking at her now, their skepticism obvious. Rachel smiled. There's a perfectly sound rationale for the presence of salt in plankton. She gave Toland a wry look. And frankly, Mike, I'm surprised it didn't occur to you. Are we really going to draw this out as well? End of chapter.
Right, yeah.
Come on.
By chapter 78, it's like, in the Mesozoic era, the dinoflagellates separated from the nanoflagellates due to a shelf displacement that many people... It's like, oh, can we please...
40 chapters ago, you were surprised that didn't occur to me? Come on.
Yeah.
No, you weren't.
The 6-year-old giving the show has gone inside to get scissors so she can make a puppet for the show, and you're just like, the game has, and it's the fourth quarter. Can we acknowledge that this is not going anywhere at this point in time?
And then by the 14th time, someone says, like, there's a cracker that is unbelievable. When I unveil this cracker, it will blow your mind. You're like, look, you can't. There's no cracker in the world. And then they unveil it. It's got fluting around the edges and is crunchy. Yeah, I've seen that kind of cracker before.
It has a hint of olive oil.
Oh, God.
And rosemary. God.
You have to stop setting stuff up like that.
Well, so this one, I mean, not to his credit, but sometimes when they end with the sentence, I'm surprised it didn't occur to you, it then goes back to DC or a smoke-filled room somewhere. This one just goes right into continues the plankton discussion. So it's like sort of like the Batman serial at Riff Tracks, where it just ends arbitrarily just to prolong it to make the dramatic ending.
Yes, it's like one of my favorite things that we've talked about is when people panic and put quotes around things when they're making signs.
Yeah.
I think he just panics and goes, chapter end? I don't know. No, you're still talking about the same thing. It's continuous. It's okay. You can keep it going.
Right. Because her thing then implies that some time has passed to let you take that in, as if he was publishing these serials like Dickens or something like that. Yeah. But no, this is all in the same book, man.
Okay, just read on. I just have to get over this number there. Okay, I'm past it. Now we're talking about plankton frozen in the glacier.
Yes, and they have been doing this plankton frozen glacier for a long time. I just highlighted one sentence out of many in the next chapter to say this is the type of thing that we've been skipping over. But it says, am I right to assume that when PODS measures densities from space, it probably lacks the resolution to distinguish brine ice from fresh ice? So if you are not reading along and that has hooked you, you can go back and get a whole lot more of that in these chapters.
This is a sentence I pulled out of chapter 42, right? Oh, for the love of God, Nora exclaimed with a hostile groan. Suddenly everyone's a glaciologist. That's kind of when you're in your car and like someone's in front of you doing something dumb. That's what I do. Everyone's a glaciologist.
It is. That's sort of Terry Silvery. Like nowadays, everyone's an environmental critic. I'm going to just, as we get to some of the dialogue from these high level scientists, I'm going to send you the pictures of our friends. Colleagues, the high-level scientists,
okay,
and I want you to imagine these people on this on this like list of accomplished scientists saying these following sentences, because Corky, Corky says something, and then Nora tells Corky to bite me twice. Mm-hmm. Possibly because he was trying to be a glaciologist. So just take a look at that link I sent you. We won't be able to share this with people because it's, but just imagine any of the people on here telling one of the other people on there to bite them twice. And then she says, Toland says, "You're saying it's possible, right? This theory makes sense." "Sure," Nora said, "if you're totally retarded."
Oh, yes.
It's like, this is PhDs here just gathering in the North Pole, like just the highest level of scientists possible, and you're just bickering like a Vince Vaughn movie from 2001.
I'm looking at them now. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now I have that. I have the murderer's row here to attribute these quotes to as they come.
So yeah. God, top left guy telling bottom left guy to bite him twice, I think is the
guy on the right below our mutual friend there making jokes about Canadian beer and everyone laughing. Oh, he's a cut up.
Oh man, there is the Simpsons where it's like it's a colorful group they're setting into space. There's a statistician, a physicist, and a different type of statistician, and they all have crew cuts as they're the astronauts going into space.
So this argument goes on and on. I admit, I glazed over a little bit at this. Mm-hmm. The minutia of what kind of ice was frozen was kind of like, I don't have time for this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have to read 20 more chapters before.
Many more chapters. Yep, it's fine.
So I'm not going to do it. But when someone makes a point, I'd like to go to, Rachel said, Nora spun like a cobra. The hell you will. Cobras, known for spinning.
Spinning like a Tasmanian devil, I guess. Like, I mean, cobra. I think about rearing up in the hood, but like, or the dramatic chipmunk, I guess. Kind of that type of
spun like a
top,
a dreidel. I guess doesn't really have quite the sizzle. I don't know.
Yeah, I noted that as well. Wow. And then they puzzle about where Dr. Ming might have gone, and they say that he's probably just taking a nap or something, worn down by the excitement of what's happened that day.
Sure. Yeah.
Then we go to chapter 43, which is Gabrielle talking to Tench, and this to talk about drawn out exchanges. They just sort of like do a whole like you might be wondering why I've called you here today, and they sort of dance around that for about 5 minutes before they finally put some stuff out there, which is that there's a bill to privatize NASA. in case you had been wondering, this was getting a little too dramatic. We're back to the NASA talk. And the current president has vetoed it a couple times. And Senator Sexton is going to obviously support it because they think that privatizing space travel will get more results because NASA's bureaucratic and wasteful, essentially. And she thinks that if this bill passes, a lot of people are going to go up to space and try to do questionable things, like put an enormous FanDuel billboard on the moon or something like that. That's pretty much what they're talking about. She says the veto power of the office of president is the only remaining barrier against privatization, against complete anarchy in space.
Yes, calling it like Comerica Moon or whatever.
Yes.
I just noted all the descriptions of Tench in chapter 43. So
please.
Here they are. Tench lit another cigarette, her spindly lips curling around it, and the tip glowed red. Spindly lips?
Wow.
That has to be a first in all of literature. I didn't look it up.
Spindly long fingers. That was the choice for that.
That's the obvious thing. And then a little bit later, Tench let out a lung-shaking cough and reached for the burgeoning manila folder. Burgeoning manila folder.
Yes, that was called to our attention in the dumb sentence of the week.
Then Tench leaned across the desk, and Gabrielle could smell her nicotine breath.
God. This is like one of the things that comes and hassles Pennywise's form, hassles one of the kids in It, you know? God.
That's just in this chapter. This is her just like, we got you, darling.
So she essentially says, hey, we know that your candidate is, after 6 months, 6 months ago, he was dead broke. He had squandered all his money he got from his rich wife and stuff. And she says at the very end of this long chapter, she says, are you aware that Senator Sexton is accepting enormous illegal campaign bribes from aerospace companies who have billions to gain from the privatization of NASA? And like, if I was Gabrielle sitting there like blowing the nicotine breath out of my face, like worried that she's going to touch me and my hand will also wither like the grayscale in Game of Thrones. Can you please just tell me why you called me here? But it's not the only thing. She says at the end, this meeting is just beginning.
That was my nightmare. This is like a terrible end to it, but he has to do something, right? So she's like, this meeting is over. On the contrary, this meeting is just beginning. And that is my true nightmare, if someone is prolonging a meeting that has already gone too long.
Yeah, which we've experienced. We've sat through some long meetings back in the day. Yeah.
That's when you're thinking the meeting is over. You've like mentally checked out 20 minutes before, and then someone goes, okay, Does anyone else have any thoughts at all? Like, what are you opening?
Look around. Look around.
And then
the room.
someone, what do you mean? Does anyone have any? Someone will go, yeah. I lost a water bottle, and then someone, I saw water. You're like, oh my God.
Water bottles have gotten expensive. Anyone else think that? I mean, come on.
Let's go around the room. What are everyone's thoughts on?
They need to be double walled. But that meeting will continue in a later chapter because we're going to back to the Habisphere, where they are putting on tight-fitting 2-ply memory foam suits with dense gel fold through them to keep them warm or regulated in hot and cold environments.
Yes,
and
I think the My Pillow guy was there dressing them up. That's sorry.
And so I was picturing the Michelin Man for these type of things, which no one really comments on. They mentioned tight fitting, and so I thought someone was going to make jokes about Rachel Sexton being hot in there, but that never came. I was surprised. Rachel says these are two relatable sensations, I think, to explain how this feels putting on this suit. She feels like she's sticking her hand underwater while wearing a rubber glove, and she feels like she was trapped inside a mattress. So just both things to picture, to put yourself in the mindset of what it's like. And then Corky says, I feel like I'm wearing a giant condom. Nora gave a disgusted groan. Like you'd know, virgin boy. Which is just... 4 hours would you quit this job, even if it had sort of been your life's work to get here? 3? It's worse than a low rent Office spinoff.
My question is, how old is Corky? Also, like if you're working with a guy and he's like 45, like, hey, virgin boy.
Right.
I mean, it's not really landing because
I miss my kids. I don't know. Like, it's, that's high school humor, I suppose. But
weird.
How about this? I'll let you fill in what this might look like, and then we can then fill in the audience how Dan Brand describes it. Okay. Toland invites Rachel to come out on his ship after this is all over, the Goya. The Goya was Toland's research ship, well known both from its role in Amazing Seas as well as its reputation as one of the strangest looking ships on the ocean. So before Dan Brown fills us on what that means, I was like, what could that mean? Is it are the sails octagonal? Is it like the Wienermobile but with a sailboat on it? Like one of the strangest looking ships. That's just a feast of imagining what he could possibly be referring to here.
I was thinking of I just recently saw there was a parade where they did the ghost ship from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
Or Caribbean, depending on, I don't know.
Yeah, Jesus.
But it was like all people, wearing the weird makeup, and they were pumping the fog, and it was just like during a parade. It was like, oh, that's pretty effective. But then the ship came by, and it was, covered with the Kraken or whatever around it. That's a pretty strange looking ship. Sure. So it's that. Okay.
So what is it? So Dan Brown goes on to say, strangest looking ships on the ocean. Although a visit to the Goya would be unnerving for Rachel, she knew it would be hard to pass up. She's anchored 12 miles off the coast. Hang on, I'm just scanning here. Sounds like an unlikely spot. The Atlantic seaboard. It doesn't describe what the boat looks like at all. It drops that thing in there and has absolutely no fill-in about what the ship could possibly look like to warrant a sentence like that as the description.
That's its reputation, too. So you just ask someone, hey, you heard about Toland's ship, the Goya? Oh, yeah. I mean, of course. It's one of the strangest looking ships on the ocean.
That old bucket of bolts, yeah. I can do the Kessel run in 9 parsecs. So, that is just puzzling things like that. Why did you bring it up if you're not going to tell us what you mean?
It's your book.
You just spent 18 paragraphs on nanoflagellates. Anyway.
He neglects to mention that the Goya is just filled with giant crabs. It does make it one of the strangest looking ships.
They have firmly taken charge. They're running the show here. Back to chapter 45.
45, yes.
Marjorie Tench and Gabrielle. Do you have any more Marjorie Tench? Because I just had some of the...
Yes, I am keeping track of Tench.
Okay.
Tench coughed roughly. So in case you weren't clear, she didn't like delicately, go like, excuse me, I'm Marjorie Tench. She went, I worked with a person who, have you ever been surprised by, there can be two ways it can go. A small person with a gigantic sneeze, where you're just like, wow, I did not expect that sound. Yeah. I worked with someone whose sneeze was, this is the best approximation I can do of it, and I swear this is true. She would go, Q, Q. And you go, no, is that accomplishing anything? She's like, I'm sorry, I was sneezing. The
most adorable the things from your nasal cavity.
But she swore that's my sneeze. Like,
wow.
Okay, all right.
I do not imagine Marjorie sounds like that. And I'm curious how the audiobook would depict her, considering all what we've projected onto her here. But she essentially pulls out pics of him, the senator, meeting with these SFF, the Space Frontier Foundation, like a privatization trade. Yeah. And she says all this stuff is illegal. It's just the sort of stuff that's like, I don't know. I feel like we're all pretty cynical enough to be like, well, of course people are accepting donations from every single trade in the. What are we talking about? Illegal here. Yeah. Everyone's in everybody's pocket. And this is Gabrielle's reaction because Tench says the president has sworn that he was not going to negatively campaign. And she says, it's a negative for the country. It implicates dozens of private companies, many of which are made up of honest people. It besmirches the office of the U.S. Senate and is bad for the country's morale. Dishonest politicians hurt all politicians. So that was another, just like, take a deep breath to walk around the block, then resume your laughing after that too. That's the reason that this that the president's office doesn't want to leak these photos to the press to hurt her boss, Senator Sedgewick Sexton.
So her pitch, this was so funny. So she spends, it's a long, long chapter of, blackmailing her with this, here's your boss. He's a snake. He's taking all these bribes and everything. But, so what do you want me to do? Oh, well, I'd like you to do the right thing because, wait, you spent, it's like a gang backing you into a corner with, flick knives. And then, what do you guys want? Oh, nothing. We're sorry. Did we scare you? We didn't mean to do that.
Will you review our friend's business on Google Maps 5 stars? Come on.
Oh,
come on, please.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, geez.
You don't even have to write the review. Just write it 5 stars. It would really help him out. They say we want you to admit you had an affair with the senator, which she implies she has evidence of as well.
Well, dozens of color photographs spilled out onto the desk. Gabrielle saw her entire career come crashing down before her. And so it's another case of we already know what these are. The most amazing color photographs of things you could not even imagine. Is it of the affair? Well, it is, but hang on. That's coming up in chapter 47.
It was the first thing we knew about you was that you did this, and however, but they've got. She's got. Yeah, we have to get to them, but she has photos of everything. They've seen everything.
Yeah,
Stuart would say.
Yes.
And so that is ongoing. We go back to 46, where, as the plot goes, they are going out to take more samples with some radar device of the ice to see if there is salt water in other parts of the ice. Nora is going, the brassy lady. Holland is going, George Clooney. Corky is going, and the civilian who flew here 3 hours earlier, doesn't really understand all this, is not a scientist, isn't accompanying them. And that is sort of hand-waved away by them saying, well, the harness system designed to keep us safe is a quad harness. So it's designed to work with 4 people. So we essentially need a 4th person. So you, person who doesn't want to be here, doesn't know what she's doing, will be that 4th person because you're the main character in the book.
Yes. I'm just happy it takes place outside the Habisphere. That's where they first say it. And then I got to, again, I'm reading the ebook, so I don't really know. But if this is correct or if it's just a optical reader error or something,
Yeah.
2 miles away, despite the sharp spikes on the Pitbull Rapido crampons attached to his boots.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Which part? Crampons?
Pitbull Rapido crampons?
I guess that's a brand name of hiking spikes, essentially. I mean,
and then it was just a carriage return, and then piranha ice axe. Nora had said, fastening a lightweight. That's something she said?
Without quotes, yes, that's a very puzzling thing. I see it right here.
Piranha ice axe, Nora had said, fastening a lightweight T-shaped tool to each of their belts as they suited up in the Havosphere. Standard blade, banana blade, semi-tubular blade, hammer, and adze? Is that what you're seeing?
I do see it. It's a tool similar to an axe with an arch blade. It's like
an adze is?
An adze, yeah. I don't know if Pitbull Rapido makes them, but...
okay.
Pitbull Rapido only gets Pitbull, the artist, the musical artist songs, so I have no idea what to do with that. But
okay, so yeah. Piranha ice axe, not in quotes, is something Nora had said.
Yeah, that seems like it's sort of something in a movie we do where they dub the dialogue in after the fact and just have someone off screen saying it. The
right.
Smiths, Jimmy Smiths, what was that from? Switch Jimmy Smiths?
Switch Jimmy Smiths.
There,
yes, someone just dubbed it in. Yes. Okay.
Piranha ice axe.
Okay.
Speaking of David Lynch, I've been watching one of his old unsuccessful TV shows, and there's a characters called the Hurry Up Twins that just walk across his TV set, and every time they walk across, they say "Hurry Up" in succession, and a voice from off screen just goes, "The Hurry Up Twins."
Wow.
So that's an avant-garde film. You don't need
that is avant-garde.
A tall Asian in a camel hair coat.
Camel hair coat. So they go out pulling all this equipment, I guess. Kind of hard to picture, especially when someone off screen says piranha ice axe. I'm already thrown off. But then they're like, wait, how do we get back? You know, even though I'm trapped in a mattress here. I have I'm sticking my gloved hand into water. Nora shouts, okay, high-tech breadcrumbs, Nora shouted, throwing a flare. Breadcrumbs? Rachel asked, shielding her eyes from the sudden light. Hansel and Gretel, Nora shouted. Do you really need to explain Hansel and Gretel? Like the katabatic wind is blowing at 400 miles an hour or whatever it is. We're screaming at each other and you're explaining. And then she's like, still don't get it.
No.
It's a German folktale about two children.
Their father was a woodsman. And
is any of this ringing a bell? No, sorry.
A house made of candy. Candy? Well, it's a sugary concoction. Comes in many forms. In general, you have the hard candy and then the chocolate.
And then a witch. A witch.
It is.
A witch is a...
well, many cultures interpret the concept of a witch differently. Baba Yaga is the one that's often associated with Hansel and Gretel. This gets a whole thing where every single character on this mission going out to do this, Nora, who is reluctant to bring any of them along, will do something, and they will be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What is that? And it's like, would you shut up and let me just do this thing? You were literally only here for ballast so I don't get blown away by the katabatic wind.
Right.
It's like, do you remember that time that we were in San Francisco and David Martin of Riff Tracks took us up to like his buddy's like trading floor?
Mm-hmm.
And like you just all these people doing all this crazy, money moving, and we had no idea what was going on. And the guy was sort of explaining. But if that guy had enlisted us to be like, "Hey, I need some help," just do exactly what I say. And if we had been like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, a call option? What is a margin call?" He's like, "Will you shut the hell up and just like hit enter when I say to hit enter on this thing?" Like,
why are you asking questions?
Whoa, whoa, shorting? It's incredible. But they keep doing that as they do this whole thing. And they're attached. Everything's on a big sled, which is going, they make the point to say it's easy to move because it's slightly going downward. So we all know where that's going. It goes to the next chapter. But before we do that, I think we should break for real or fanfic. We're probably at the halfway mark. Yeah, let's do it.
Sounds good.
Fanfic. Real fanfic. Real fanfic. 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 Real fanfic. Real fanfic.
All right. This is Real or Fanfic, the beloved segment of our podcast beloved by everyone but Mike, who has been doing remarkable lately. He's on a late career tear. So I don't know what you have to fear about this one. 4 out of 5 last week. Nailed the ones for Night of the Crabs. And we're all looking forward to see how you can do this week. These are all sent in by our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/372 pages, where you can get all sorts of cool stuff like the 280 mysteries, where we solved an Encyclopedia Brown mystery with Joel McHale.
Yes.
We just did. He came on from the set of his TV show.
His
Animal
hit
Control.
TV show. Is this, did he say it was the 4th season?
Yep.
Is it one of those things where like you're like, is According to Jim still on? It is. It is now in its 14th season.
I mean, I feel like it's, the 4th season these days is just, for live action, you've got it made.
When we did it with him, I didn't take the bait of going like, love your show, because then he would have, because being him, he'd be like, which part do you like the best?
Yes.
And I haven't seen your show. So I admitted right away, I have not seen his show.
No, he was great.
Weird if yes, it was very funny.
Yeah, very funny. He was about to go work with a weasel on the set and fall off a ladder, he said.
Tell the story of being bit by a bear. So it's a pretty exciting episode.
Yeah. Go sign up so you can listen to that. It's up next week. Or if you're hearing this on the free feed, it's already up. Here is real or fanfic. 5 of these. These could all be real. They could all be fanfic by our jackals, or they could be a mix of the two. Number 1. Rachel watched Toland navigating the menus. So you're accessing the web now? No. Internet access is tricky at sea. We store all this data on board on an enormous array of optical drives in the other room. Every time we're in port, we tie into Project Diversitas and update our data bank with the newest finds. That way, we can access data at sea without a web connection, and the data is never more than a month or 2 out of date. Toland chuckled as he began typing search keywords into the computer. You've probably heard of the controversial music file sharing program called Napster? Rachel nodded. Diversitas is considered the marine biologist version of Napster. We call it Lobster, lonely ocean biologists sharing totally eccentric research.
Wow. Oh, that's a tough one, because it would be so cool if that were true. I'll say that that's real.
Wow. Number 2. Rachel couldn't decide which hurt worse. The ache along her jawline where the MP had punched her with the butt of his SR-16, or the feeling of betrayal burning in her gut as she saw Corky walking away with that smirking wraith Tench. Corky, you son of a bitch. Every heartbreak, every snub, every injustice, every awkward moment she had experienced over a lifetime tried to push its way out of deep memories and into conscious thought, mixing with the sense of abandonment washing over her. She flashed on a scene from her 3rd week as an NRO gister. A coworker had slipped a copy of a British tabloid into her stack. A sticky note told her to summarize the cover story, showing a viciously drawn caricature of Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman as they might look in 30 years. Cruise was paunchy, balding, and dwarfed by his desiccated wife. Why that memory? As the exhaustion, nausea, and disappointment cascaded, Rachel half believed she was seeing the disgusting cartoon in the flesh. The ghoulish Cruise and Kidman were Marlinson and Tench.
Oh, I'll say that that's fanfic. Someone going after our love of Tench. But okay. I don't know.
All right. Number 3. Keeping her head turned away from the crowd, Gabrielle made her way toward an alcove that housed a bank of elevators and water fountains. She searched for the elevator call buttons, but saw only slits. Damn. The elevators were securely controlled. Keycard ID access for employees only. A group of young men came hurrying toward the elevators, talking exuberantly. They wore NASA photo IDs around their necks. Gabrielle quickly bent over the fountain, watching behind her. A pimple-faced man inserted his ID into the slot and opened the elevator. He was laughing, shaking his head in amazement. "The guys in SETI must be going nuts," he said, as everyone boarded the elevator. "Their horn carts traced drift fields under 200 millijanskis for 20 years, and the physical proof was buried in the ice here on Earth the whole time."
Wow, that's it.
Yep.
What did he say again? Could we just have one?
Sorry,
more?
to do with that. The guys in SETI must be going nuts. Their horn carts traced drift fields under 200 millijanskis for 20 years, and the physical proof was buried in the ice here on Earth the whole time.
See, now we're in the middle of the book, and now it's getting tough. I don't know. I'll say it's real. Dan Brown showing off. I don't know.
Number 4. My God, Senator Sexton said quietly to himself. It'd be great if that was just the whole thing. I feel like every character has said that. Michael Tolan's video had the desired effect, sending the entire room into stunned silence. Suddenly, the film was filled with raucous applause. That was better news than any of us could have asked for, Sexton shouted with glee. Frozen space bugs? That was my campaign killer? Those nitwits at NASA still can't launch a rocket that could get halfway to the moon, and we're supposed to be impressed by frozen space bugs, Kistler said. They're so incompetent that space had to come from Earth. They're so incompetent that space had to come to Earth for them to learn anything, the Texan laughed. Sexton walked over to the bar. The men in this room had been short-sighted. If he was being honest, he had been too. Only able to think as far as putting a dumb logo on a rocket ship, maybe a hotel on the moon long after he was dead. But now, we knew that things were out there. If this video was real, he wouldn't put anything past Herney. What came next would define not just his legacy, but America's. NASA was still barely functional, known today more for causing disasters than instilling hope. This dog and pony show changed nothing. But these men could afford the world's greatest scientists, best equipment. And what did the president have? A pretty boy Jacques Cousteau wannabe you half-watch hungover on a Sunday morning.
Wow. So now that's a better description of Tolan then, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. Hungover. I don't know. I'll say real.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't got to their drinking parlor yet, but I love that.
Yes.
Number 5, last one. I don't see how you could possibly conclude a 2-foot bug is earthly in origin. Tolan smiled inwardly to think Corky was missing such a simple point. Actually, there is another possibility. He focused closely on his friend. Corky, you're used to looking up. Look down. There's an abundant anti-gravity environment right here on Earth, and it's been here since prehistoric times. Corky stared. What the hell are you talking about? Rachel also looked surprised. Tolan pointed out the window at the moonlit sea glistening beneath the plane. The ocean. Rachel let out a low whistle. Of course. Water is a low-gravity environment, Tolan explained. Everything weighs less underwater. The ocean supports enormous fragile structures that can never exist on land. Jellyfish, giant squid, ribbon eels. Corky acquiesced, but only slightly. Fine, but the prehistoric ocean never had giant bugs. Sure it did, and it still does in fact. People eat them every day. They're a delicacy in most countries. Mike, who the hell eats giant sea bugs? Anyone who eats lobsters, crabs, and shrimp. Corky stared. Crustaceans are essentially giant sea bugs, Toland explained. They're a suborder of the phylum Arthropoda. Lice, crabs, spiders, insects, grasshoppers, scorpions, lobsters, they're all related. They're all species with jointed appendages and external skeletons. Corky suddenly looked ill. From a classification standpoint, they look a lot like bugs, Toland explained. Horseshoe crabs resemble giant trilobites, and the claws of a lobster resemble those of a large scorpion. Corky turned green. Okay, I've eaten my last lobster roll.
Oh, God. I have to say that's fanfic. I am not allowed.
Oh, all right. Especially knowing what we know about what is happening to the characters in the back half of this episode. Number 1. This was Lobster and Napster. You said real for that. And that is real. 2 people submitted that.
Wow.
Scott and Lisa both submitted that. So yeah, little topical Napster reference here, which was pretty delightful. Number 2, this was the Tom Cruise gisting. You said fanfic for that. That was fanfic submitted by Chap.
Okay.
I think latching onto the tension, which is Tom Cruise comes up later in the book, so that was my hesitation.
Yes, he does. That's why I was like,
Number 3, so 2 for 2. Number 3 was the group of young men, pimply young men in NASA IDs talking about Milijanskis. You said real for that. That is real, submitted by Craig. So 4 for 3.
Holy moly.
And number 4 was Senators Sedgewick talking about hungover Jacques Cousteau with his other Texans and other guys. You said real for that. Unfortunately, that is fanfic by Harris.
Okay,
so that's
Harris.
3 for 4. And number 5 was our heroes who have been... they end this chapter, not to get ahead of it, on death's door. Corky has been just assaulted and took through the ringer.
Yeah,
later on, they're talking about it, and he's quipping, "I've eaten my last lobster roll." You said fanfic. That is real from later in
What
the book.
the hell?
Submitted by John.
Come on.
So they go back to all this thing.
He has to explain what crabs and lobsters are to a guy, a scientist? Come on.
I do not know what's going to be the reason they'll be having this discussion, but it is hard to imagine it fitting into the book in any way, shape, or form. God. Incredible stuff. Incredible.
Wow.
So 3 for 5. Balancing out, I guess you're 7 for 10, so still not bad.
Yeah, I could have gone 4 for 5. That last one is just so, come on.
I could have done more. I could have done so much more.
I could have saved so many more people. All right. Well,
yeah,
I'll
we got
take
that
my
to look
lumps.
forward to. So just keep that in mind, folks, if you haven't read it. That's how Corky's responding. He's turning green. He's literally turning green at the idea of eating lobster once he's explained to it that it's sort of like a scorpion after what happens to him in this back half.
I mean, I think we've talked about it even on this podcast, like, a roasted tarantula. Yeah. I don't know. I'm told there's soft shell crab kind of a taste. Like, I'd give it a try. I'm not saying I'd be happy about it, but sure, that's fine.
Yeah, as long as someone trustworthy is preparing it for you, and you're not being punked. Like, why not?
Yeah. Eat the spider, you idiot. Yeah. All right, are we on
47?
Yeah, 47. The only thing I have for this, so this is more like Tench, dumping photos and of her
hidden camera photos of them doing it on his desk.
I'm just in 47. I'm just keeping track of Tench.
Okay.
Tench's gangly legs had no trouble keeping up. So she truly is the clown, like attacking the children.
Yeah, man, she's something out of the Witch or something. I did like it that she said this. I'm offering you to get a chance to get out of this without seeing your own naked ass in the morning paper. Where was a paper going to be printing this? Is this going to take over the family circuses square to put Halle Berry's ass in the paper? It just seems like you might have to have done some deeper web searching, maybe on Lobster, to find those at this point in time. Papers were still sort of respectable in 2001.
Right. We're not publishing them. We have them, but...
Who published the ass pictures? Not me. That's a family circus reference.
Yes.
And she gives her till 8 o'clock to come back, admit the affair at a press conference, or they're going to leak everything to the press about the under-the-table deals with the aerospace industry.
Yes, and the chapter ends with this, so I'll do my impression of Tench. Hopefully I don't look like her, because that would be hideous, but... On my desk by 8 o'clock tonight, Gabriel. Be smart. Tench tossed her the folder of photographs on her way out. Keep 'em, sweetie. We got plenty more.
Wow.
My Tench impression.
Yeah, it sounds like you were doing some method acting in the weeks leading up to this to get that cough. It sounded lugubrious.
Well, doing Nolte trains you to
hurt
your throat when you're doing that, yeah.
I like the look of that Tench lady. She seems like she could rustle me up some snake eggs. So then they go back to Rachel. They're walking out. They've stuck a bunch of flares in the thing. Here's my sonic challenge for you.
Oh, boy. Okay, yes.
Nora stops short and she says, sounding like a water witch diviner who had mystically sent the perfect spot to drill a well. She says, this is the spot. But it says like a water witch diviner who had mystically sensed a perfect spot to drill a well. I guess, maybe this just sounds like Marjorie Tench if we're talking witches.
Okay, is this after the polar bears?
No, this is like the 5th paragraph of chapter 48.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, polar
This
bears
is the
come
spot,
after
is her
this.
only line. Yes.
This is the spot, but it's like a witch.
Yes.
Okay.
A water witch.
Yeah, water witch. I got it. Okay, ready?
Yep.
And here we go.
This is the spot.
Oh, you foul water witch! Shall not do a deal with you.
Where is your sister, the regular witch?
The 3 weird water witches. That's in Macbeth 2, The Way of Water.
Yes.
Yes. Then they go on to your polar bear conversation.
Okay,
which
yes.
It's like that fanfic we just read about explaining that crabs are bugs, essentially.
Yeah, again, the wind is blowing straight line winds, very heavy winds. I'm assuming, I don't know, 50 miles an hour? What kind of wind it's very, very noticeable, the wind.
Yeah, and they've put on suits so they don't die. So it is it's not, you're not just changing a tire on the side of the road here. It's life or death.
So they're asking questions about polar bears, and she's going into deep detail about it. It's like, have you ever gone to a club and it's so loud and you can't talk, but you walk, and you're talking in the middle, like, so what are you doing? Like, yeah, my dad's pretty sick. I don't think he's going to make it through and then you walk into the club and it's like, really? What's the problem? What? What's with your dad? Like, I can't. You're just like, look, just forget it.
Yes.
This is over. This is what this is like. Only it's like, so polar bears? Like, no, I didn't. Well, polar bears, hang on a second.
Yeah. Can we do this task that I think we said was going to take maybe 10 minutes, get back to there, and then we can have any sort of conversation about factoids or trivia that you'd like.
Talk about the bears once we get back. Your back is what? No, never mind.
Right. Because you would be yelling. You would be yelling polar bear, and people would be like, oh my God, where? Like, all I heard was you yelling the word polar bear. So, anyway. Then Rachel is like, they're trying to do something. Rachel feels like she's been hard on Nora, moved to help by unfastening the rear of the flap on something, and she's like, God, no, don't do that. Never unfasten the upward side. You'll create a windsock. The sled would have taken off like an umbrella in the wind tunnel. So once again, it is someone who has no business being there, has no training. This is not what she's even in this situation to do, and she's just walking around flipping switches. Like if we had gone up to that tower on the in San Francisco and just been like, what does this sell all shares button do? It's like, get the hell out of here. Like, it's like, so...
Look, I brought you on this lobster boat. Don't stop pulling up the lobster. What? I'm just. There's sea bugs. I thought I would just eat one.
And then so there's just more things being like she pulls out a device and they're like, that's a radar. And they're doing a radar that's going to penetrate the ground and see if there's any more salt water. And then she's like, and then the printout will show. And Toland's like, printout? You can print out here? Would you just let me do the 5-minute task? Save the questions for once it's done, because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and she actually says, during this wind and with the suits, I assume, do they have like some sort of face shield on or something, right? Doesn't your skin would freeze in seconds, I believe.
Yeah, I think they do. Later on, I was unclear. But yeah, I feel like they're covered head to toe.
But she says, in response to a question, Mike, I need to align the GPR transmitter with the meteorite site, but this flare has me blinded. I'm going back up the slope just enough to get out of the light. I'll hold my arms in line with the flares, and you adjust the alignment on the GPR. Again. I didn't get a single word of that.
Right. Yes. I am a TV host, so it's not really adjusting GPRs wasn't something that I really had a lot to offer and as part of my skill set. But
yeah, is there an intern that can do that? Because I'm used to I'll be in my trailer.
Yeah, and there's some sketchy stuff happening. Like they see the flares momentarily go out as a shadow was in front of it. I think that's what provoked the polar bear
yes
question.
Yeah,
And
but we know that it's not polar bears.
It's Delta Force.
Yes.
They finally do this. They take the stand. They have a printout, and everyone gathered around Nora, stood over the flare, clutching the printout tightly in her gloves. She took a deep breath and uncurled the paper to examine the data. The image on the paper made her recoil in horror. Marjorie Tench, Lemon Party. I don't know, like just one of the it's something off of E-Bomb's World that was your Consumption Junction back in 2001. But no, it's the body floating of Ming in the shaft.
To which she says, "Oh God," and then later, "Oh God." So that's repeated.
And then she goes full Charlton Heston at the end of Planet of the Apes at the end, because they see something that they don't reveal to you, but Nora now understood. She fell to her knees in the snow beside the flare. She could barely breathe. Still clutching the paper in her hand, she began trembling. With a sudden eruption of rage, she spun her head in the direction of the NASA hemisphere. "You bastards!" she screamed, her voice trailing off in the wind. "You goddamn bastards!" She's pounding the ground. And then Delta One is they are all of a sudden in the wings observing. So he says, "They know."
They know. She spun back to the hemisphere like a cobra, of course.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Those famous spinning things.
"You bastards."
You did it. You finally did it.
I wish we had known that's what she was going to do. We could have had her saying that all along when she said, "So said the teenage version, Corky." "Does my ass look big in this suit?"
Tell me, does man still make war against man, and does my ass look big in this suit?
Deception point where every character is Charlton Heston. That would be the edit. Like one of those, every line in B movie, every time they say something is a...
Yes.
They then cut to the next chapter where they continue the thing, and what's revealed is that someone has drilled up from beneath the shelf and inserted the meteorite into the ice.
Yes.
So, little bit of... a conspiracy has actually unfolded. They say that even a small submersible, not much bigger than Toland's one-man research Triton, easily could have transported the meteorite in its payload arm. So this is what actually happened, but that the internet would have been filled with people saying this is exactly what happened once they made this announcement, purporting to have all this evidence. So there'd be no way to present this evidence without having someone say that this is what happened. So now it has happened, and they have to figure out how to explain it.
And this is one of those moments where in reading it, you go, "Oh, okay, how does that change stuff?" Like, "Oh, okay, this is important, I guess." I don't know. To me, I'm not really sure what it means.
Well, it just means that, they thought that the meteorite struck the ice and went in when really it came up from below.
Just
so
pushed it up. So, but it's like,
right.
Okay. And then
where did...
What, as the reader, what am I I'm supposed to gasp and go, "No"?
Well, I think they said that they were like, it's been frozen in ice, so it's been untouched by human hands. And that's why the salt water was surprising, and I guess the salt water came up from the thing, and so it gives the senator a way to be like, "Oh, well, this is a fraud perpetrated by the president in a desperate attempt to save his campaign." Yes,
but I just mean as a reader, you're like, okay,
right?
I know that's going to advance the plot. I get it, but it's just sort of like, oh,
right.
That seems cool too, that they jammed it up in a So as the reader, I don't have much, either way. I don't know. It's cool.
Everything he said to you has been explained to you and introduced as a concept in the past couple chapters, so you have to roll with the punches in a Dan Brown book.
Yes.
Same way when he's like, when Da Vinci painted this guy looking to the left, that insinuated that he was actually Jesus's brother. So that's, and you're like, all right, whatever. You're telling me this. It's not who am I to question this? I'm at the beach.
Right. So she gets the printout. She does her falls to the ground, a la Charlton. You did it. You finally did it. And then they start getting hit by hailstones.
Yep.
Is what she describes them as. Like, oh my gosh, we're... but she quickly discovers these hailstones were man-made. So someone was shooting balls of ice at them.
Ice bullets, yeah.
Bullets.
Which multiple listeners wrote in to tell us that a very early, I guess, famous episode of Mythbusters tested this and very quickly determined that an ice bullet is an impossibility.
Okay.
So they were happy to let us know about that. You can look it up, I guess.
Dan Brown insists everything is real. It's like one time I was riding. Boy, this is going to reveal a lot about myself. But here we go. I was riding my recumbent bike.
All right.
And the bottom bracket is out in front of you. And I was wearing, because I didn't like getting, the heavy farmer tan on my feet. So I had biking sandals, clip-in sandals. I didn't see anyone. No one saw me, so who cares? Anyway,
I think you know a guy.
A car of young people pulled up and they shot me with a paintball in the foot.
That sucks.
Yeah, they shot me in the foot. I didn't crash, which I could have.
They easily could have killed you.
I kept going, but my first thought was I looked down and it was a red paintball, so my foot was covered in red paint, and so I thought, oh, someone shot me in the foot.
Wow.
Because it hurt so, it's like already swelling and hurt. And then I pulled over and I realized, oh, someone just shot me with a paintball. And they went around the block and I was able to cut them off. And so I went up to the house that they stopped at. Dummies.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And they ran out with their paintball gun. And I was just yelling at them like, I could have I could have died because I would have crashed in front of your car and you run over me. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
And they just all ran behind the house. They didn't, so I just left, but that was the end of it. But
good God.
My immediate thought was, I was shot in the foot. Which, weird thing to do, but it's just as weird to shoot someone with a paintball on the foot. So, anyway.
Yeah, so you have an experience of this happening and your mind is not thinking back to be like, oh, yes, I was familiar with the improvised munitions department of the Department of Defense, and this must be some of those ice bullets that they had turned to make, et cetera, et cetera. It's just like, I'm shot, and I'm continuing to be shot, so why would I think this is anything other than normal bullets, as Rachel does. Also, they've knocked out Nora and Corky with the nanobots, too. They've, stung them with some sort of, paralyzing thing.
Yes. Their bullets. Oh, the bullets, by the way, you just pack the butt of your rifle with snow.
Yeah.
Into the butt of the rifle, and then you shoot these ice bullets. Anyone
out there in
special ops? Is this a true thing? I'd love if it was. I want one. Okay.
The bug assault gun, where you pack it with table salt, you can shoot flies with it. That seems like a lot of fun. I've never used it.
Damn, that's fun. Yeah, I have a friend who has one, and it works.
So yes, they're getting bullets are raining down, and they're fleeing from whatever is happening. It is all of a sudden is an action scene. But then we cut to chapter 50, which just if anyone is from the DC area, you can say hello, fellow DC residents, with the referring to the Washington Metro Rail subway now leaving Federal Triangle, which would be would just cause you to leave the train with someone was that foreign and not just saying, I'm going to take the metro to Federal Triangle. That's very off-putting.
And then I wondered, too, as I read it, to people, I'm sure this is real, I didn't look it up, but L'Enfant Plaza?
Yeah.
What do the locals call it then?
Oh, yeah, that's real.
Yeah, but do they pronounce it in French?
I mean, they don't hit the but L'Enfant Plaza would be the way that you would do that.
Okay.
I think if you tried to do that, people might also, if you said, I'm going to take the L'Enfant Plaza exit off of the Washington Metro Rail subway, it would be like, this guy's a spy.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot of French towns in Minnesota, and there's a somewhat large one called St. Cloud, and it's just called, everyone just says, oh, you're going to St. Cloud, but it's from the French, of course. You wouldn't pronounce it. If you did, you came in like, yeah, I'm going to take my car. I'll probably drive up to Saint-Cloud. You'd be like,
Yeah.
All right, you're not from here.
And so she's heading to visit the senator who has said, do not bother me tonight. This is 100% off schedule. I'm leaving my pager at the office. Do not come. But Gabrielle is trying to like rationalize all this stuff. And I enjoyed this thing. She says, if the photos hit the media without Gabrielle's having admitted the affair, the senator would simply claim the photos were a cruel forgery. I think you might mean crude forgery, but this was the age of digital photo editing. Anyone who had ever been online had seen the flawlessly retouched spoof photos of celebrities' heads digitally melded onto other people's bodies, often those of porn stars engaged in lewd acts. Anyone?
Anyone
so, like,
who'd ever been online.
When my grandfather was emailing me at college from his AOL account that he like used to go check on like how Nick Faldo did in the Masters, he was also seeing these. Like, that changes everything. That's so disturbing.
It is.
He's like, oh, that's that Jennifer Aniston laddie. Oh yeah, I've heard about her.
Yep, he's
Didn't know she posed for this kind of thing.
He's getting that the link up. Can you do the sound of linking up on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you could hear it in other rooms. You know, like the guy next to me, like, oh, he's going online. Okay.
Oh, anyone who would ever been online. There you go.
So she's thinking, well, maybe they were forged. We'll weather this. It should be fine. But here, this is chapter 50, right?
Yep.
Okay. Gabrielle could still hear Tench's raspy demands. And then these are not in quotes, but I think it's meant to be Tench, so I'll do the imitation.
Do the right thing. Sign the affidavit. Admit the affair.
Right?
Oh, man. Yeah, very much. We might need to do our next book about her. Washington Insider Marjorie Tench crossover fiction. It's like see how long the audiobook narrator can last before they lose their voice.
I get another glass of water, please.
Essentially, she's just like, oh, maybe it's like the bribe thing isn't real, and another staffer's emailing me this, and he's trying to get me to admit the affair by pretending they have the photos. Anyway, she's unwilling to throw her boss under the bus at this moment as we go back to the North Pole in chapter 51. Mm-hmm. The Delta Force guys are on skis that sort of look like rollerblades that they can control by moving their fingers together. I guess we're supposed to think that's
I like they said their skis were bizarre as well, futuristic and short, more like elongated rollerblades than skis. Rollerblade, I mean, what could be more futuristic than that?
And it is capitalized, so it is using the their brand name rollerblades and not an off-brand like the ones I had.
I had a friend who was was high up in the rollerblade company, and they were near mine, so I used to ride to work with him. And he gave me a rollerblade sweatshirt, which I still have, and so I saw him. I saw him recently, but anyway, his whole thing was like, "Please don't call them rollerblades." I'm like, "What?" It's kind of like Kleenex. Well, then it dilutes the brand. Like they're called inline skates.
Yeah,
we make rollerblades.
Yeah. The horses have left the barn, my friend.
Yes.
On
okay,
their futuristic
I'll remember
rollerblades.
that, and I'll scold anyone who calls them roller.
Yeah. No, it's true. Use a Google search in order to do that and verify it. And then we get this. I thought this was pretty funny. Just so Toland and Rachel are running away, or they're hiding under the sled or something.
Yes.
And then Delta One scoops up a handful of snow next to Nora, packing the snow. He opened the woman's mouth and began shoving it down her throat. He filled her entire mouth, ramming the snow as deep as he could down her windpipe. She would be dead within 3 minutes. The technique invented by the Russian mafia was called the Belaya Smrt, White Death. The victim would suffocate long before the snow in her throat melted. Once dead, however, her body would stay warm enough to dissolve the blockage. Even if foul play were suspected, no murder weapon or evidence of violence would be apparent immediately. So we have to hope that Bugs Meany never learns about this technique, because that sounds like a very dark Encyclopedia Brown solution to like how the third best cellist in Idaville was found. There was no murder weapon. Because that's the classic one of those, right? It's like there's a puddle on the ground next to him, and they had stabbed him with an icicle and then let it melt, type of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
the poison was in the ice ring. You know, stabbed him with a icicle or hit him with a frozen clam shank or whatever. But I like that it was invented by the Russian mafia. I mean, no one before that had ever done that to anyone else. Lots of snow, a lot of years.
right. Yeah.
Hey, I just invented something I think is pretty cool. Show me.
Yeah, maybe the characters in Ice Age 3 or something did that to Ray Romano's character. I'm not sure. So yeah, that was just a nice little dark touch in this whole thing. So they literally kill Nora, and then they're going to do the same thing to Corky. And this starts a whole series of unfortunate events for Corky.
Corky, he does not have a good time. This is one of those moments, too. Okay, having cut Nora Mangor free, is that how you're pronouncing it? Mangor?
Sure, yep.
The three attackers, yes, were turning their attention to Corky. I've got to do something. No quotes. It's just a free-floating sentence. Who's saying that? Is Corky?
Yeah, it's
Is
not a
Nora?
first-person book for the first.
Is Nora going?
I've only got 3 minutes.
I don't know. Anyway, it's just a free-floating line in the middle of something.
And then Michael Toland, if you'll remember, Nora said, "Don't do that. That will open up and turn into a kite." And he does that. He opens this big Mylar space blanket, and it sort of serves as a big, like the Torrey Pines glider port where he worked, would have been. So he sets off like as a, what do they call that? Windsurfing?
Yes.
He essentially turns the sled into one of those with this Mylar balloon, and they take off like a tangled mass of human marionettes. The three bodies skimmed down the glacier. And the only problem is the glacier ends in 2 miles, and they're about to drop off into the Arctic Ocean.
Yeah, but they're flying at high speed. What does it say? Like, it kind of gives a speed.
Well, the wind, a storm is also rolling in, so the katabatic wind is even higher at this point in time, like 80 miles an hour, maybe it said.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Not for use in wind over 10 knots, but they know it's more than that.
Yeah, it's way more than that. So yes, so they fly towards they're flying towards the ocean.
And her and Toland are on the sled, but the other guy is just being dragged behind it, like attached to them on his tether. So he essentially goes on a Clark Griswold sled ride in this. Yes. And so I'm just imagining him essentially making Jerry Lewis noises for the rest of this trip that he's being dragged behind.
They pretty much say that explicitly. Tench of chapter 52, unless you have anything more for that, goes back to Marjorie Tench.
Nice.
Every time they do, I love it. She goes to the communications office in the White House, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the bullpen. And this is a line, I honestly don't know what this means. I'm enlisting the help of listeners. The communications office was small, not for lack of room, but for lack of necessity. What does that mean?
I guess they don't.
We have a definition of small. We know what that means.
They didn't need it to be any bigger?
But for lack of necessity.
It's
lacking necessary things, and therefore it's small?
They say it was small, not for lack of room, which by a small room, by sort of definition, does lack room.
That's what I'm saying. Definitionally, that's what small means.
It's a very odd way to put about it. Like, you know, the child's bedroom also doesn't need to be big, so it's not. So it is, you know.
For lack of necessity. I don't know. That's the phrase that I'm just like, wait. But for, it's small, not because it's small, but because it lacks necessity. I don't know. Take another shot at that. I think that, to quote The Princess Bride, I don't think that means what you think it means.
Yeah, I didn't notice that one in real time, but that is an off-putting way to describe something very simple. It was small. There you go.
Yes.
Tench is about to deploy because she's going to leak the thing about the bribes, but also the sex footage. It says this strategy, known in Washington as the high-low, was stolen from the art of military warfare. So he's not going right out and saying art of war Sun Tzu, but he's very much implying it. Yeah.
He's a stolen valor there with that. He's brought that on planes and performatively read
the art of saying nanny nanny boo boo was taken directly out of the ancient writings of the Chinese philosopher.
So she goes, it describes how this room, they can send off faxes like nobody's business to all the newsrooms. They list all the places that they could possibly get these press releases.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, she says, this is Tench. Lighting a cigarette, she puffed a moment, letting the anticipation build. Finally, she grinned. I don't know how long anticipation has to build.
It's a small room, so
choose your own. Yes, for lack of necessity.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
The 5 people in the room are just waving the smoke away. God, I hate it when she comes in here.
It was so nice before she came in.
Why hasn't she accepted her very generous government pension for her? She's been here forever. She's a fossil.
How does she even fit through the door? She's got 8 legs, and she's got those mandibles, and
she's literally Shelob. So then it goes back to them racing across the ice towards the Arctic Sea, which it says, people might have forgotten this because it was very briefly brought up, but the thought of icy water brought back terrifying memories. Yes. Rachel has a fear of water from drowning.
She didn't want to go on that Quilter's cruise. She did not go on that because she had the fear.
But this is just one of those things where it's so completely unnecessary because she's being dragged at 80 miles an hour in the dark of the Arctic towards the sea. Certain death awaits. You don't need to have a childhood fear of water to be nervous in that situation. Every single person on the planet would be terrified if this was happening.
This is my worst nightmare because I'm afraid of water. You are flying at 70 miles an hour across ice.
And Tolan's like, well, every time I see it, I'm mesmerized. So, I mean, maybe we're doing an opposites attract thing here.
And then this is the quirky thing this is 53, right?
Yes.
Yes. The new Corky trait. As if to give a voice to Rachel's own dumbstruck terror, the high-pitched scream of Corky Marlinson cut through the air. So he is fully...
Lady! Wow! With
So
the
fast.
ice in the bergs.
Oh, speeding. Oh, there's a bump. Oh, what? My keys. I landed on my keys.
I don't want to die a virgin. Nora was right.
Oh, I'm trapped in a mattress and I'm going 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's hard not to imply that voice on him. And they're about to hit 3 berms, which is our like hills, so they're going to just start getting some air. So it really is the National Lampoon, him on the greased up sled, and they hit the berms. They fly in the air. Corky's screaming. It's all quite funny, and then they fall off the edge of the iceberg into the sea. Or so we think.
I feel like this whole thing was, if it had been filmed, and then Paul Rudd would be in it, and he'd show this scene of
right.
kid.
Yeah, it is sort of Mac and me
sliding down the hill at high speed.
Right. All it's missing, because we're supposed to believe they're aliens, so that thing could have poked his head up when they landed the water, and woo. Oh man. We get to 54, and this is a question I had that I did not know what it means. You had a question about the gisting office or the media office. This one I even sent to my family because, my dad moved here in the 70s, lived in D.C., went to school there, worked there for his whole life. The Westbrook Place apartments are located at 2201 North Street Northwest, N Street Northwest, and promote themselves as one of the few unquestionably correct addresses in Washington. I sent that to my entire family being like, what does this mean? My dad had no idea. and my brother just thought it meant that they hoity-toity.
Correct, like that you could say it so that people unquestionably correct.
I think it's like if you live anywhere else, you're an idiot type of thing. It was just very annoying to me because I was looking at the address, being like, "So is it N Street Northwest? Like, what is it?" It's not worth delving into my confusion. But I was annoyed by the way this was promoted to the point of me asking other people.
That is annoying. And she, Gabrielle, again, Halle Berry, sneaks in, and the doorman is like, "You can't be here." She's like, "Listen, you son of a," and then it's like a really long exchange of like, he said nobody disturbs him, and she's like, "What if I told you this? That's not going to move my," and then it's just like, why are we wasting time? We know she's going to get in.
Yes, she does it twice, to the doorman and then to the guard outside of his door. They both do the same thing. He said no one can go in, and she talks herself in, and it's like, he gave these orders, and you let the first person in that came here? You both are terrible at this job.
No one is to get in. It reminded me of the Young Frankenstein bit of the, no matter what I say, no matter how much I plead, do not open that door. Open the door! Oh, God, open the door, please.
Yeah. Jeez. Like, it is, it's a cliche, but one job.
And it does end with, if I could whip out my Marjorie Tench
yes, I think
impression
everyone
again,
is delighted at this point in time.
Because
like
at this
ASMR.
point, this is her remembering it, but here it is. Marjorie Tench's raspy voice echoed in her mind.
Are you aware that Sexton is accepting bribes from private aerospace companies?
So that was echoing in her mind.
Oh, man. Yeah, she's like hitting her ear like there's water stuck into it to get the mucus gargles out of her ear.
Stop echoing in my mind.
But that's echoing in her mind because once she talks her way into his apartment, there are briefcases from all the big aerospace companies there. So she for some reason thought that this guy who banged her on her desk and cheated on his wife is a great guy and would not be accepting bribes as he runs her office.
She's shocked.
She's shocked at this. We go back to the North Pole, where they did not end up in the sea. They went over the cliff and then landed on a jutting out little balcony of ice, just sort of like Wile E. Coyote.
I could not picture that myself. I had a hard time with that. But the Delta Force comes up, and on their feet they wore electro-tread powered skis modeled after the consumer Fast Track's motorized skis.
God.
I looked them up. I could not buy.
Oh, okay.
There are skis that have little like battery packs that you can kind of aid you in climbing up a... Okay. But there is no consumer Fast Track's motorized skis. I mean, I couldn't, like my best search in Amazon did not find them. So.
I mean, .com boom, it could have gone the way of Flues.
Pets.com.
A product that was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he talks about it. He throws a lot of specs at you with these Delta One guys. Magnification doubler, super long range IR. It's like reading a review of a phone that's talking about the like quad Snapdragon processor. It's like, right. Can I play Snood on it? Is my question. And will the battery last all day?
Yeah, doesn't he? He throws some shade at their night goggles. He throws shade on the Patriot model used by the Marines. Piece of trash. Garbage. No, Delta One was looking through, and then he describes it in great detail.
Oh, right, yeah. Hands-free mount with a 40-90 millimeter 6-element lens.
Yeah, those idiots using other crap. Ugh.
And fear not, because Corky is alive and quipping. He wakes up and he goes, "What the hell was that little trick?" So I guess just being dragged along at 80 miles an hour, going off jumps and falling onto an iceberg has left him no worse for the wear, really. I mean, we saw later in the Real or Fanfic last week, he somehow is on a boat peeing on himself. So yeah, I guess he's the comic relief character.
I don't want to die a virgin.
I liked this too. The two Delta Force guys stood there a moment, peering down at their battered prey like chess masters savoring checkmate before the final kill. The writer stood over his computer, peering down at his keyboard like a man about to badly butcher a simile, having no idea really how chess masters behave. Like, I'm not sure you really do that. I think it's probably not something you really you don't really pimp that moment like a home run trot, I think.
Right. So they're the Delta guys who are wearing superior skis to the crap that you can buy, and superior night vision goggles, not like those idiot Marines have. They decide they see their prey, I guess, on this third berm on an ice shelf. I don't picture it because I don't live.
Picture it terrain park at a ski resort essentially for some reason.
But they end up on the size of it says like an ice skating rink hanging out over the ocean. And Delta One pulls out a heavy lemon-shaped object, not like those idiot Marines carry. It's a non-lethal concussion grenade. It's a flashbang, right?
Yep.
And he throws it into like a crack where the ice is about to just fall off.
Yeah.
So this is a cartoon. I mean,
yes, it's a cartoon. I said Batman cereal. They went off the edge. How will they survive? Oh, they landed on something else. The next episode ends with them throwing a grenade to detach that thing. So the second time, it's like, well, thank God we made that. Wow!
And then Corky let out a scream nearby. So that was, after the flashbang went off, and it does causes the ice to calve. A thing that's come up a number of times. Yeah. And Corky's on cue was like, wow, here we go again.
And that continues into the next chapter. They essentially fall into the water, and then if you've thrown a toy into a pool that then, or put like a basketball down and it shoots back up, that's what their ice does. So the Corky screaming is just over and over, I'm thinking, happening the whole time. And I thought this was funny, just as Rachel lay in terrified silence, then feeling the onset of deadly cold, she dragged herself onto her hands and knees. The berg was still bobbing back and forth, and he says, he puts a little apostrophe of it to abbreviate iceberg. And as far as I can tell, that's the only time he does that, and I don't know why he did it. It's like he lapsed into being dad boner or something. Like, I got to get some top shelf margs.
Just riding the berg, man.
Yeah, they're gonna pull into work in the Bring, the Chrysler Sebring he drove, but it's very interesting.
So somehow it bobs up and down, and Corky is doing the wow again in the water, and now I'm out of the water, and now I'm in again. Oh, and somehow it kind of rights itself, and then they're on it.
Yep.
And then the Delta guys are peering out with their very superior night goggles, and I see something, but it's nothing. They're going to die.
Yeah.
Just shadows, Delta One said, turning from the cliff. Let's get back to base. So he didn't have a cigarette, but he would have tamped it out under his foot if he had.
100%. Yep. Yes. Yeah. Earlier in the chapter, they had followed after them, being like, "We need proof of death," and at this point, they quickly abandoned that principle and let them
forget about that. Yeah. They'll die soon enough. We're good.
Senator Sexton Sedgewick, I have said that every single time. Sedgewick Sexton is back in his office. He set his snifter of Courvoisier on the mantelpiece of his Westbrook apartment and stoked the fire for several minutes, gathering his thoughts. So isn't this where Ben Gazzara lives at the end of Roadhouse? Isn't it a fire? There's mounted animals.
It's his trophy room. He has 3 pool tables for some reason.
Yes.
I bought the first 2. I thought it needed 3. I just wrote that. I said, I'm still holding out hope he's a good guy.
There is
Snifter of Courvoisier. Oh, I have 5 grandchildren. Oh, they're coming. Oh, thank God. Dumps out the Courvoisier, extinguishes the fire. God, let's go play PlayStation 3. Come on.
And then so he's gathered all these aerospace executives here, and he runs down all the business that they clearly would have discussed before any of them got here. He's like, Well, he says, like, over the past months I have met with many men in your same position. You are the only ones I've brought into my home. You are extraordinary men, and I'm honored to meet you. That's what I said to the guys from Costco who installed my new clothes dryer. But then he says, he's like, these NASA people, he's like, you, Kistler Aerospace, your company has designed and manufactured a rocket that can launch payloads for as little as $2,000 compared to NASA's $10,000 per pound, and yet you have no clients. It's like, yeah, I know. We hashed this out. Like, this is why I'm here. Like, why are you explaining to me my major gripe?
Gentlemen, yes. And then this is from Gabrielle, right? Is she still hiding?
She's hiding and overhearing all of this.
Okay. This is a quote from, I'll make up a voice for this. This is someone else. It's the lack of corporate sponsorships that's killing Rotary Rocket, a sharply dressed man said. Which I immediately noted. According to ZZ Top, every girl should be crazy about him.
Gabrielle is like, well, now, I mean, I came here to try to save my job, but this man, yeah, so they're upset. Like, he says that NASA has banned advertising on his spaceship, and like this guy from Rotary Rockets wants to put, Nike's offered them $7 million to put a swoosh on it, but Pepsi has offered them $14 million to put the choice of a new generation. And NASA banning advertising and branding on rockets is like bus station level ranting in terms of a grievance. That's like, Charles Kim could have put that as part of one of his super constitution tenets, and you'd have been like, this is absurd, man. But this isn't Dan Brown's best-selling book. Like, what are we talking about here? I did like he said, one of the guys, like, they crowd out private aerospace businesses by pricing services below market value. It's the Walmarting of space, the Texan said. There's just a guy who's referred to as the Texan, so he's wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah, they said his hat. Like, okay.
And it says, damn good analogy, Sexton thought. I'll have to remember that. Walmart was notorious for moving into a new territory, selling products below market value, and driving all local competition out of business. So just a reminder for any listener who may have been unaware about what Walmart was doing or notorious for doing in the 2001 is inserted into here.
And another complaint, which I can't say I disagree with. How many NASA saves the world from a killer asteroid movies can Hollywood make? It's a fair point. There was a time when those were coming out fairly regularly. But
famously, 2 of them, right?
Yes.
Like, it was like the Prefontaine thing or Volcano. It was like one of those things where we got Deep Impact and Armageddon, and then we're like, we're good with these. Those were both terrible. Like, please don't make any more of them.
Which one is worse was the game that everyone played when those came out.
And then we had this. NASA devised a PR stunt to prove NASA was education friendly. They sent a public school teacher into space. Sexton paused. You all remember Krista McAuliffe? The room fell silent. It's like, well, did you not know where he was going with that one? And also, there was no way that one of these people who are just like doing essentially the Mr. Black from Camp Krusty to evil, gentleman to evil toast, one of them would have told the Krista McAuliffe joke. What were her last words? What does this button do? Someone would have said that. They're that evil. That's what I'm saying.
And then the chapter ends with, again, I'm still holding out hope. Only 15 feet away, Gabrielle Ash stood in the shadows, rigid. From the den came the harmonious clink of crystal snifters and the crackle of the fire.
Oh, I don't think they mentioned cigars, but like clearly they're smoking cigars and they're all laughing at this.
One guy is like, I have to go to a movie theater and sit in front of someone and watch Problem Child 2 and laugh with my cigar. Okay, you get going then, Gary.
We'll allow it. Yeah, the Texan. Yeah, don't take off your cowboy hat in the theater either. It makes them harder for them to see. Short chapter 58. Ekstrom and an aide, the head of NASA, acknowledges that Dr. Ming has surfaced, his bloated body, and he orders him to hide it. And the aide unquestioningly goes along with it. He's like, "We can't. This is not the time to let everyone know about this death." And so he's covering it up. So more questions about
the end of the chapter. I'd like to do an impression of the guy who's like, he comes up like,
"Geez, we found this body. What are we going to do, sir? What are you going to do?"
The man nodded, pale. I'll stow his body.
That's how the chapter ends. We can't have this happening in here. I also have a cigar, by the way.
Again,
Sure, sir. I'll stow his body.
It's a living. The caliber of people working here, the list of accomplished scientists, one of them has just been ordered to hide a dead body, and he's going along with it for some reason. He doesn't have any dirt on this guy, etc. Next chapter is Michael Toland had been at sea enough times to know the ocean took victims without remorse or hesitation. How many men has he lost on his Discovery Channel nature show?
With his strangest ship that's ever been seen on the ocean? Is that what it was? By reputation?
Ship. Yeah. That turns him into a grizzled sea captain who's just like, the sea.
Yeah. Too many times.
Like, do half your men die? Like, how many would you say?
I mean, that would explain why the high schoolers had been so intrigued by his thing about the new breed of cuttlefish. But if like four guys died horribly and were losing limbs and stuff, then I would understand.
We get a snapshot of Rachel. The blood felt like cold molasses in her veins. She knew what that felt like? I think there's another way to say that.
God.
Felt like it. Well, last time I had cold molasses in my veins, it was pretty much like this. So, I'm going to go with that.
That was one of those weird L.A. treatments that Toland talked me into. Everyone was doing it for that 6 months. Like, Goop posted about cold molasses treatment.
Yeah, you got a blood boy. I got a cold molasses boy.
And so she suspects Ekstrom, who we just said to hide the body, but then she starts thudding on the thing with her axe to thud out a SOS symbol. And we get a little Wikipedia dump about the suboceanic acoustic array, which was established in the Cold War, but now oceanographers use it to listen to whales. So she's hammering this out, hoping that someone's going to hear them, even though they know they have 30 to 45 minutes tops before they freeze to death. But she knows that she has that printed out picture in her pocket that shows Ming's body and shows the salt water accessing it. So she thinks even if they can find our bodies, they'll at least be able to have that evidence that this is a fraud. This NASA meteor is a fraud.
Yes. And did you, by the way, this is inside baseball, but it was a note. It just came to mind. She starts banging on the ice, and he's like, Ray? Chell? I guess that's how he says her name. But then she's thudding on the ice, and he says, in quotes, I don't think, ...
I don't think
that is a shorthand that we do in riff tracks, that if someone says something absurd, the other two characters, we just put, I don't think. And it just means you object to what the person, I don't think that's the kind of... So that made me laugh of him doing that.
I don't think the sub-acoustic array is going to pick up on this signal. There was one show where we were doing it with Paul F. Tompkins, and he seemed very tickled by like trying to draw it out as long as possible.
Yes.
To make the I don't think. I don't.
Well, I don't.
So they're doing that, and then the president, Herney, calls up Ekstrom to talk about this thing. They say that there's a storm moving in, but the satellite link will not be affected, which is something in a book or movie you only say when the storm will affect the satellite link. And then the president, in a low, solemn voice, says, Hey, Lawrence, you've done a hell of a thing up there. I won't ever forget it. So just again, if we're starting to seed the evidence of the president being a bad guy, this could be more things to point to.
Yes. And then cut to the Delta people. They have to change the way they're going to hide the body, so they dump, what's her name, Nora? They just dump her.
With the ice in her mouth, yeah.
Yeah, they dump her into off the shelf. So putting the snow in her throat, the way the Russian mafia did, turns out to be there was no reason to do that.
Dan Brown just wanted to mention that he'd heard of that technique.
Yes. So they throw her in the ocean, and she gets eaten by jellyfish or whatever. I don't know. So
sure, nanoplankton. Speaking of things he just wanted to flex that he knew, how about this one? 61. They're talking about nuclear submarines.
Yeah.
And he gives on to give a lot of information about the submarine, a lot of Fax King kind of information, how much water it displaces, all that stuff. But then he gives us, and human waste from the crew, as on most cruise ships, was compressed into 60-pound blocks and ejected into the ocean, the huge bricks of feces jokingly referred to as whale turds. I mean, so you could have been hung up on Nora being disposed so unceremoniously as a dead body, but then we've got whale turds 2 paragraphs later. So it's not all grim stuff happening in this book.
Also, jokingly referred to again. You know, we've all been on a job where some of you jokingly, I don't know, just as an example, I knew a guy who was an electrician, and then my friend worked for him as a electrician, and he's putting one of those fans in the bathroom, and he's like, the fart fan. My friend is like, yeah. He jokingly, I referred to that. You're like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm not going to call it that, Right? We're blocking another 60-pound block of whale turds.
It's like, please, sir, we're hunting the Red October.
Yeah, can we get to work, please? I don't.
Yeah. The guy who's doing that, the grimmest job on the submarine, is like, oh, well, at least I get to do the whale turd task again. That makes... And the technician sitting at the oscillator screen in the sonar room was one of the best in the world. It's like, well, I would sure hope so. It's a pretty, directly focused task and skill set. So I would hope that I hope that one of the best people in the world isn't, working at a Subway somewhere making sandwiches, because that would be a huge waste of talents. I hope that the guy who's doing it is good at it. And technician hears the SOS, and get this,
yes.
It is 3 miles away from this nuclear sub. So that's quite fortunate.
Yeah. Luckily, we're right there. Final chapter, right?
62. I think we did 64, no? 64 squares?
Oh, I forgot to write down. I probably didn't even read them.
I'll catch you up. It's not,
okay,
there's not a lot going on. Nope.
Yeah. 62 goes back to Senator Sexton, right?
Yes.
Okay. They're all the villains are there, right, at his place. At what's the address again? We have the address.
N Street, 2201 N Street Northwest, I think. One of the only right addresses.
Either word. Oh, and they get word that the secret press conference is coming, or the president is calling a press conference. Right.
Either we're declaring war on China, or the International Space Station just fell into the ocean.
Now, wouldn't that be something to toast? Someone called out. Everyone laughed. I mean, I know you're supposed to be evil, but, guys, again, don't be easy laughs. Come on.
Yeah, you could used to be a little more cutting, at these times. You're bad guys. You could say all the words that you're not allowed to say in polite company. You're bad guys. Spice up these quips a bit.
This would be like you'd go with you work on some serious job, and then your boss is like, I've got tickets. Would you like to come with me tonight? Oh, certainly, sir. It's for Sinbad. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you sit next to the guy, and he's just like, this is the funniest thing I've ever. You're like,
oh my God.
Oh dear.
I have deep concerns about the direction the company's headed now.
I do not want that promotion anymore.
He's talking about buying socks. You heard this one? He went out and bought socks, and there was no one at the counter. But Gabrielle is very disillusioned. It says he's not even elected yet, and he's already selling out the White House. Gabrielle knew she could no longer support the senator. So she's Pollyanna. She's Jimmy Stewart in Mr. Washington, but she also had sex with him down his Senate desk. So I think you have to pick one or the other in terms of whether this is a man of high morals or whether he's the kind of guy that does that with. And he's the latter because you already did it. So.
Right.
So it's a very funny, wait a second, business interests are somehow controlling politics in Washington, D.C.
But she goes down outside in the street. The settling night felt unusually bitter. Flagging a cab, she climbed in and tried to reassure herself she knew exactly what she was doing. ABC television studio, she told the driver, and hurry. To which I'm sure he was like,
Sure thing, lady. ABC Studios. I know exactly where they are.
I got a shortcut. I took Joe DiMaggio down at one time when he was late at Yankee Stadium.
Hang on to something, lady. Here we go.
I'm glad you picked me up, Benny the Cab from Roger Rabbit. That was great to have the luck to hail you. She did put her 2 fingers in her mouth to whistle it down.
No problem. I gotcha.
Here's my note from chapter 63. Michael Toland is describing losing consciousness from frostbite. Strangely, there was no pain anymore. He had passed through that stage. The sensation now was that of having been inflated. So it doesn't come up often in our books, Riggs, but it's nice when they do. A few listeners out there are nodding knowingly. Hopefully he does not get trapped inside his cow suit as he's being inflated.
How many of our listeners would you say are familiar with?
They're familiar with, hopefully just familiar with our description of it from the podcast.
Oof. All right.
And then he thinks he's hallucinating because he sees a huge mythical sea monster Leviathan surfacing next to him. And then the guys from the submarine just pop up next to the berg, and pull them. They're going to pull them down into the submarine. So quite the convenient rescue mission.
And then I see in this chapter, Gabrielle does make it to ABC Studios. I stopped reading. I failed. I think I saw page 64. I don't know. Look,
it was a hell of a lot of text, so I forgive you. But she has gone to ABC to see Yolanda Cole. I'll describe Yolanda Cole for you. She'd been a content editor with ABC News in Washington for 16 years. A freckle-faced Pole, Yolanda was a squat, balding woman who everyone affectionately called Mother. Her matronly presence and good humor disguised a street-savvy ruthlessness for getting the story. So a lot of authors would maybe start with that as their note for like how to build a character and then show you that, but Dan Brown just sort of tells you that that's what she does. It's
a squat, balding woman?
Yes. So I think she comes in the Marjorie Tench type of woman as opposed to the Rachel Sexton and Halle Berry type of woman.
Wow.
You got the hotties and the naughties here in Dan Brown.
Yes.
And they had bonded. They had chatted about, she's like sort of a mentor for Gabrielle. They chatted about Gabrielle's background, the challenges of being a woman in D.C., and finally about Elvis Presley, a passion they were surprised to discover they shared. I am surprised to discover that Gabrielle, the 24-year-old, has a passion for Elvis Presley. That's just that's interesting.
And she didn't go, who now?
And they talk about. She says, like, I've got this proof of the senator's affair with. The senators accepting bribes, and they have proof of. She shows you the pictures of her and the senator, and pretty much Yolanda, Mother, says, you got to be very careful because people will try to kill you about this. The producer at ABC News just sort of lays that out. Like, there's big finances and power at stake here, the kind of power people kill for. I think she says, you pretty much like need to be ready to leave town if you're going to do anything with this because people will come and try to kill you. And she's also remarkably blasé about having like 2 of probably the bigger scoops of the era, being dropped into her lap. She's like, Marjorie Tench would have you believe he's breaking the law. Candidates accept behind-the-scenes donations all the time from big corporations. It may not be pretty, but it's not necessarily illegal. So it's she ends up giving her the envelope with her photos with Sexton, and Yolanda locked the photos carefully in the desk drawer and pocketed the keys. She did not put them into her shredder or anything like that, so they are still out there.
They exist.
Just to leave like that. So that's essentially what happens in this last thing. She's like, my advice is like, we're about to do this press conference and we don't know what it's about, but you just sit here, hang out, and there's no way the president's going to be breaking any of these stories that Marjorie Tench threatened you with. He's got something else up his sleeve.
And meanwhile, the cab driver is like standing nervously in the doorway like,
I'm keeping it running. Is that... Yeah. Are you headed back to the only address that anyone cares about?
Who's that? I'm the cab driver. I'm going to be part of Act 3.
I'm a big pot.
All right. Woo!
Oh, man.
That's a sprint through. Stuff happens. You can't deny that. It's not very good. I think without his crutch of sort of describing weird symbolism in art, that people sort of buy into because they don't know anything about it. I think that's once he discovered that, I think he was sort of like, oh my God, I can't believe I wrote books without that.
Yeah, why was I trying to do this stuff? Also, the quick cutting back and forth, it's quick in terms of like, people making pronouncements at the end of every, scene, like, you've never seen anything like this in your entire life, and then cut to 6,000 miles away, like, oh, come on. And then
why was the cab driver making that pronouncement? Did he have like the fuzziest dice anyone's ever seen? Like, you've never seen
anything like this in your life.
It's an air freshener. I've seen a lot of them.
Interesting. Not this flavor. Cigar flavored. Oh, yeah, that's weird. Gross. Anyway, yeah, it's he's got his quirks, but I guess it keeps you turning the page, and that's sort of what he was going for. Let's finish with the dumb sentences.
Dumb, 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 dumb sentence of the week.
All right, these are the dumb sentences of the week, submitted by our beloved jackals over on the 372 Patreon. Once again, that's patreon.com/372 pages. The mystery that Joel McHale helped us solve was, I think, the second Encyclopedia Brown mystery where they've had to deal with like a nude or semi-nude boy showing up at his house. So that was it's just a weird little quirk that Donald J. Sobel was focused on. A girl had beat him up, drug him into the woods, and stolen his clothes.
With phrases that, look, I love old-timey phrases as much as the next guy, because the next guy loves them, right? But there were some in there. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah,
I've never heard of that one before.
Yeah, he went to the old phrase book, the one that we read with Zach, the Jests of the 17th Century.
Yeah,
to find some of these. All right, so these are from the listeners' dumb sentences of the week. Katie T. Instinctively, Rachel knew that the presence of frozen plankton in the glacier beneath them was the simplest solution to the riddle. And she said, it's not that idiotic on his face, but given that Rachel was shocked and perplexed to remember that ice floats a few pages earlier, I'm really having a hard time taking her scientific instincts seriously. George submitted, instead of spending money to study our universe, private space companies, I think this is Marjorie Tench, private space companies would strip mine asteroids, build tourist hotels in space, offer commercial satellite services. And George says, sheer implausibility aside, does Dan Brown expect that to come off as a bad thing? It sounds rad as hell. Curtis submitted the SFF, that's the Space Frontier Foundation, I think. The bad guys that are meeting with the senator. Mm-hmm. The SFF was like a union for private space companies. And Curtis points out that the term he's looking for is a trade association. Justin submitted, then, this is Dan Brown as hell, then, without warning, something utterly inexplicable occurred.
Jeez.
Scott submitted the one that I didn't understand. The Westbrook Place apartments are located at 2201 N Street Northwest and promote themselves as one of the few unquestionably correct addresses in Washington. I'm glad I wasn't the only one, because Scott says, to quote one of my favorite lines delivered perfectly by Mike in the riffs of Twilight, what the holy hell does that mean? I don't remember where that came in Twilight, but
I don't either.
Mike T and Ben both submitted the whale turds sentence that we read not too long ago. One of them said, this is the worst book I've ever read. It feels like every time I start to get closer to the end, another 100 pages suddenly appears. Jackson submitted, soon I will be the most famous paleontologist in the world. He said, I probably do know everyone who could compete for this title, and they are not famous. Colin submitted, the Berg was still bobbing back and forth like a giant ice cube. And he says, damn it, Dan, you can't make a simile with the thing that it actually is. Like,
damn, Dan.
Yeah, damn, Dan Brown. Oh, man. I wish I had thought to do that earlier in the... But that's correct, right? I was focused on the Berg, but he does say it is bobbing back and forth like a giant ice cube, which that's what it is.
Yes.
Back at it again with the tortured similes. Is that even 10 years old at this point in time? I haven't...
Oh, got to be longer than 10, right? 11? 12?
Yeah, maybe. Ben submitted the Goya. Oh, the Goya was Toland's research ship, known both from its role in Amazing Seas as well as its reputation as one of the strangest looking ships on the ocean. And he says it stood out because you'd expect a sentence like this to be followed by the detailed description of one of the strangest looking ships on the ocean. Unfortunately, it does not. Maybe that's where they end up in a romantic scenario in the epilogue, and we get to hear about it. Mm-hmm. Cameron submitted. Gabrielle Ash felt a precarious uncertainty as she sat in the heavy air of Marjorie Tench's office. And he said her certainty was precarious, so it was at a risk of being... Her uncertainty was precarious, so it was at a risk of being certain. Precarious uncertainty is quite a back-to-back phrase. Harris submitted, I've seen petitions from space hotels and tourist attractions whose proposed operations include ejecting their trash into the void of space and creating orbiting trash heaps. Again, that's something that Marjorie Tench proposes. That's just like, I mean, get the trash off of our planet. Sure, no one's in space. Andrew submitted, the digital audio connection was flawless, and with the exception of an almost imperceptible delay, the man could have been in the next room. And he said, if the delay is almost imperceptible, there's no point in even mentioning it. Andrew's been with us a long time. He knows all about lag and how important it is. Yeah. Matt submitted, the two men stood there a moment, peering down at their battered prey like chess masters savoring checkmate before the final kill. He says the placement of that final modifier makes it seem like the chess masters are making the final kill. And he says, you don't really savor a checkmate. You celebrate it for a moment, and maybe then you analyze the game. Brown apparently thinks chess players are vultures. Edward submitted... Oh, I had this one too. This was mine. I'll burn it ahead of time. This is Toland's wife who died. Celia was enthralled with her husband's ebullience and concise scientific explanation. And he says, it has that classic threw a thesaurus at a boring sentence feel that Dan Brown loves. Amanda submitted, a freckle-faced Pole, Yolanda was a squat, balding woman who everyone affectionately called mother. And she said, it's also great because I searched through the book, and of course, no one refers to her as mother at any point during the story. In fact, on the same page she is introduced, Gabrielle calls her by her name, and does so 3 more times in her book, and no one else calls her anything at all. Great work, Dan. I like that it's been ingrained in our readers' minds that this is the type of thing they should be like looking into because the authors are so bad at establishing stuff like that by this point. Like, oh, everyone calls her that? I bet no one calls her that. It's just a good instinct that people have been trained on by this point. Eamon submitted, Rachel could never remember which pole had bears and which had penguins. And he said, I remember there was a Slylock Fox comics where the answer had to do with there not being penguins at the North Pole. So it's great to hear that NASA is trusting a woman who can't solve a children's comic with top secret knowledge. Hayden submitted, Tench smiled, cradling the envelope in her lap like a poker player holding a royal flush. And he said, because poker players famously hold their cards below the table where the other players cannot see them. Rick submitted, suddenly like a gunshot in the night, a sudden snap echoed overhead. And he said, suddenly something was sudden. That one is I missed, but that's incredible. Craig submitted ice bullets, and he linked to the Mythbusters episode. It is from the episode titled Exploding Toilet. So that sounds like one worth watching, even if it didn't touch on ice bullets. Mike submitted, even in the dimness, Rachel could see his expression was uncharacteristically grave. And he said, she's known him a matter of hours. She would have no way of knowing how characteristic his grave looks would be. Paige said, sure, Nora said, if you're totally retarded. And she nominated it for the worst sentence ever in 372 history. I'm not sure about that. But for sure it's up there since that is a PhD saying that. Nathan submitted, Toland wasn't sure if his lips were making sound or not.
Yeah, I had that one. I skipped over it.
Jeff submitted, security personnel for politicians never understood the situation, and they hated that fact. That's Gabrielle saying that. And he says, true hot dog lovers never put mustard on top of sauerkraut, and security personnel for politicians never understand the situation. Continued well-being of their assets be damned. That's just how it is. He says the best part of that is, as a major presidential candidate, Sexton would almost certainly have a Secret Service detail, which makes that sentence only dumber. Gabrielle eyed the burgeoning envelope, which you pointed out earlier. He didn't want to use the more appropriate bulging, but didn't want to stray from words beginning with B. Janelle submitted, the liquid that engulfed his face was so cold it felt like burning acid. She said, we thought Dan Brown characters had it bad with the Seville sun. Katie submitted, suddenly... Oh, damn, this is the other one. The second, suddenly like a gunshot of the night, a sudden snap echoed overhead. How did that make it past an editor? Suddenly a sudden snap echoed? Like a gunshot in the night? My God. And Harrison submitted, he gave her a puggish smile and pointed, and he said, I'll upgrade to the video for that physical challenge. So there you go.
Oh, wow. Okay, good.
Well, there we go.
Didn't even know.
Bluff called, buddy. Then he says, did Corky Romano give puggish smiles? Chris Kattan was sort of puggish, but I've never seen Corky Romano. I know you have. Multiple times, I'm sure.
I have, yes. Yeah.
Anything that didn't get burned? Because that was a whole litany of dumb right there.
Well, I only have my one, which I'm still... The communications office was small, not for lack of room, but for lack of necessity. What is necessary in a room? I mean, coffee or whatever? You can leave it, right? I don't know. What is necessity? Like no chairs?
Maybe
no,
it's like one of those
it's a
mystery
communications
spot
room,
rooms.
so like no communications? That would be necessity in a communications room. Mm-hmm. Would be that you could communicate. So the room was small because it was a communications room, but you couldn't communicate in it? I have no idea what that means. So anyway, if anyone has any idea.
We've got to do like that movie Fanboys. We can break into Dan Brown's house and wake him up in the middle of the night just to be like, what does that mean? What does it mean, Dan? Why? Why did you put suddenly in the same sentence twice? The sentence was only 9 words long.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Sorry I didn't get to the end of the reading.
Sometimes it's fun to get to explain to people just to
Yeah.
what they missed. But all right, we're holding it to you next time.
All right. I'll read them all. I swear.
Bye.